Can everyone hear me? I don't have my little pig animation today, unfortunately. I'm doing this one on my boyfriend's computer, his PC, because he has like the two monitors, and I'm screen sharing, so he obviously didn't have my little piggy downloaded. So it's just me introing. I'll give everyone like a minute to filter in. How's everybody doing? Everyone can hear me okay, right? I loved your video on Desperate Housewives. I wonder, are you gonna do a video on General Hospital? I'd like if you analyze at least the weird years when the hospital was conservative, showing in the mid-80s. Probably not. I can't imagine doing, oh shit. I don't think you guys can see that. I can't imagine doing a whole thing on General Hospital. It's just there's so many episodes. It's so long. I feel like that would just take forever. I mean, maybe eventually, at some point. I just don't foresee it in the near future. Okay, I can see, can hear. Perfect. You're my goat. Oh, thank you. So, this is definitely the most people I've ever started a stream with. So that's nice. I guess people really did want to see this. I put up a thing on Instagram a couple of days ago asking what people wanted to see, and this was one of the suggestions that I got, was to watch Max Landis's other more recent videos on Carly Rae Jepsen, which I guess we're gonna do. I've gotten a lot of suggestions for this just in general, just to do like a video on it, because for those of you that are new here, I, over a year and a half ago, I think, not quite, oh, I probably shouldn't open that on stream. Let's just go to my channel. Let's see. Oh wait, I've got it. Ew, ew, ew! Sorry, I didn't want to hear my voice. Let's see. April 1st, 2023, so however long ago that was. I made this video about Max Landis and this manifesto, living document that he wrote in 2017 about Carly Rae Jepsen, Carly Rae Legend, aka. And at the time that I uploaded it, I mean, I was a very, very small channel at that time. I'm still a very small channel, but even smaller then. I think maybe I had like 300 subscribers, so the video didn't do that well, obviously. I kept it as like the main video on my homepage for a while, and then eventually I changed it, and then months after that, I really don't know what happened. I think it was after the Desperate Housewives video came out. Suddenly this video just took off and then surpassed all of my other videos. It is currently my most popular, 227,000 views, which, you know, isn't a lot for some YouTubers, but it is a lot for me. Don't really know why. I definitely think that the Desperate Housewives video is better. So if you haven't watched that, watch it instead. But yeah, I made this video a while ago about Max Landis, and after I made it, he put out another, well, so there's actually two videos. Oh wait, no, latest. So this is the one I guess we're gonna watch today. It's another installment in his Carly Rae Jepsen obsession. And then he also did another 2-hour video here, agonizingly definitive proof of the Carly Rae Jepsen pattern. It's a lot. I've gotten a lot of requests to watch these because obviously they don't come up in the video that I made at all because they came out afterward. The last thing that Max did in relation to Carly that I knew of, that I watched, was this, the mind-bending truth about the music of Carly Rae Jepsen. I used a few clips of that in my video. But I didn't want to make another video about this. Number one, because I didn't want to watch this. And I haven't watched it. We are doing like a full reaction. I've never seen this. We're gonna watch it together. Maybe, if we finish it. I'm really not sure, because it is 2 hours long, and I don't know if it's like substantive. I don't know if I really can add much to it to make it, transformative content, so I'm not just committing copyright infringement. So we'll see. We're gonna start it. We're gonna see what it is. I also just I don't know. I just don't want to be one of those YouTubers that just talks about the same shit over and over again just because it's popular, there's a couple YouTubers who... Oh, this is another thing too. Because I'm watching it on my channel account instead of my personal account, because I didn't want you guys to see what I watch. I didn't want you to look at my recommendations. This is just the channel account that I watch sometimes for research. Oh my god! That I watch for research purposes. But because it's not my main account, I don't have premium on it. It's just a regular account, so we are gonna have to watch ads. I don't know, because I have premium. I don't know how bad ads are in general. I know they're pretty bad, but hopefully it's not too disruptive to our viewing. But yeah, there's some YouTubers who they just talk about the same people over and over again just because it's popular, and I don't know. I think it's a little hacky, to be honest. But then also, I think, especially when you're talking about the same shit over and over again because you don't like someone, like people who constantly talk about Shane Dawson and shit every time he uploads a video, and then they have to make their own little response video. I don't think that's good for your soul. I don't hate watch in my day-to-day. I do have to watch stuff I don't like that much for my videos, but other than that, not really something I get off on. So the idea of just doing a whole other video and retouching on the same shit, because I can't imagine he's said anything that new, it just wasn't something that I was interested in. But the fun thing about a live is that, number one, I get to interact with you guys while we do this. That's fun. But then also, I don't have to edit it or do anything. We're just gonna watch it and then it's just gonna be done. So a whole lot less work goes into it. I don't have to spend too much time thinking about Max Landis, because I don't want to. And then also, something else I really do like about the lives, because I like making just short little things just to be in touch with people, just reconnect with the audience or whatever. I like doing it, but then at the same time, I don't like when I look at my channel and I just see fully produced video essays and then also just a bunch of bullshit. And I continuously, I know that some people do multiple channels, and maybe I will at some point, but I feel while my channel is still kind of small, I just want everyone in the same spot. You know what I mean? I don't want us spread out too many places across YouTube. So what I had been doing before is I would just upload a video and then just unlist it after a couple weeks. I was people saw it, it's fine. And then the videos on my channel again are just mostly video essays. But the best thing about lives is that YouTube automatically separates your videos from your lives. So I can just come on a live, talk some shit, go away, and it's not on the same page as the rest of my content that I care more about. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna look at this asshole's other content about Carly Rae Jepsen. We'll explore it together. Let me look at the chat because I haven't seen what you guys said. Oh, Mike is a tad loud. Sorry. The 90s blonde bangs were banging. They kind of were, actually. I just miss, in general, I miss my blonde hair. But I'm just too poor now. I can't upkeep it. Like, it costs so much money. Yeah, that's kind of a cute look. I was gonna wear that same dress today because I don't think I've worn it since I made this video, but I went to put it on before the stream, and I didn't think that I had, like, gained a bunch of weight between then and now. I knew I had gained, like, a little bit, which I wanted. It's good. But I can't get it over my ass anymore. So, rest in peace, that dress. It is cute. My eyeliner's a little thick. That's okay. Yeah, I don't... Look at, she's just staring dead in the camera. I hate her. I used to know Max, unfortunately. Oh, I'm sorry. And yes, he is that annoying in person. I'm sure. I'm sure he is. And you know what? If he wasn't like a terrible, terrible person, it would almost be endearing. He does seem consistent in character, yeah. R.I.P. skinny legend dress. Yeah. Too thick now. Big booty, beautiful woman. Don't just fall out of the sky, you know? Yeah, I mean, it is kind of a shame. I've thought about this before, however ridiculous this sounds. It's a shame you guys only see me from the front, because I do think my ass is one of my best features. Sorry. But so let's do a little recap for those who don't really know what's going on. So 2017, Max put out this. Hey Max, what are you listening to?
Oh, just this song Mittens. Hey, you discovered something? Like, really discovered something. Like, been the first one to find something out.
He wasn't the first one. Okay, so like, the whole thing, he does this little video. It's called Uncover the Pattern, and it has the URL here for this old website he used to have. I have it pulled up here. You can only access it through the Wayback Machine at this point because it's not online anymore. If you go to it, let me see. I think it's just like a Wix error page, which is pretty funny, by the way, because when I was looking up his old Twitter account, which is also gone, you also have to use the Wayback Machine for that. He had tweeted something, I think, about like Carly Kloss, dunking on her for having a website that was powered by Wix. And like, if the URL redirects to a Wix error page, does that not imply that his whole website was made using Wix? Am I wrong? Like, my God. You're gonna get on Carly Kloss for the same shit that you do? Whatever. So yeah, he came up with this website. If you click over here, you see the feeling crazy. Oh, sorry. Click here to download the whole Jepping experience. So here you can actually go to his manifesto. This is something he wrote about Carly Rae Jepsen, the Canadian pop singer, Carly Rae legend, in 2017. It's a whole bunch of bullshit. It's 149 pages. Some people will say it's 150 pages. I will not give him that extra page. It's 149. And it also, lots of unnecessary spacing, lots of big paragraph breaks. Like, let's be honest, even at 149 pages, it's not all that wordy, but it is still unnecessary. It's longer than it needs to be. It's very repetitive, but it's all about this pattern that he believes himself to have discovered about Carly Rae Jepsen's music. Now, number one, the pattern that he says he discovered is something that other people had definitely noticed about Carly's music, maybe not in such specific terms, and they were not so overly simplistic about it. They did not claim that all of her songs fit into this pattern the way that Max did, but absolutely other people did notice. Let me see. I'm sure I have a link in my old video. Yeah. So Gia Tolentino, who is a wonderful journalist who wrote a book called Trick Mirror that I really like. She also was a big part of some of the journalistic efforts around Britney Spears' conservatorship. Her and Ronan Farrow together did a New Yorker piece about Britney's conservatorship. So we love Gia. Love her. This article that she wrote prior to Max's ramblings on Carly hit on a lot of the same talking points that he did, and she managed to do it, in an article of this length compared to a 149-page document. So no, Max did not discover this, but he is very annoying about it. He definitely acts like he discovered something. So he made this whole video acting like he was insane for really just taking Carly Rae Jepsen's music seriously. He put out this website. The website is, you can look at this document if you want, or you can go to the website and it's going to load a little bit pretty slow because of the Wayback Machine. It's just not, it's not available online the same way it used to be. But this whole website where he organized everything into this big web and then did all these like photo shoots too. Like, it's just a lot. It's a lot of effort for something that is ultimately very stupid and wrong. So yeah, this is part 1. If you go here, click here to swim into darkness. It's so, he's just really up his own ass with this one. But the reason that I wanted to write a video about it and make a video about it was because Max Landis turned out to be a huge piece of shit. Like a big one. Pretty much right after he made this manifesto about Carly. I don't even know if this one's gonna, oh, here we go. Quite a lot of people came out on Twitter with some vague stories about him, about how he just kind of sucks and he probably assaults women, but a lot of those stories were a little, well, they were just vague. They were vague. There was an indication that there was kind of a whisper network about him, but there weren't a lot of people coming out and saying, like, specifically, like, he did this to me. It was more of, like, I know about Max Landis, and I know what he does to people, and it's not good. That got him in a little bit of trouble. A fair amount. Like, people definitely did start to turn on him after that. Then he started to get a few more jobs around, like, late 2018, 2019. He's a screenwriter, for anyone that doesn't know. Screenwriter, nepo baby, overall obnoxious asshole who is always, like, well, at the time, was always tweeting something annoying. His Twitter account is gone now, which is probably the best for him. people didn't really like him on that website. But he started to get a few more jobs. And I think maybe that is what pushed people over the edge, where this Daily Beast article came out with quite a few allegations against him, and very direct allegations, and plenty of people who are on record with their names and everything. Some people who are not, some people who are still anonymous, but still, by the Daily Beast, I am assuming, verified their identities. Especially for an article like this, you know, the Daily Beast is a tabloid, but with something like this where there's a very high chance of getting sued for defamation, they're most likely gonna, you know, cross their T's, dot their I's. So this is a pretty horrifying article that I have linked in the description for anyone that wants to read it. It's bad. It's really bad. And here's the thing, and here's why I want to continue putting this out there specifically. I still, to this day, see people talking about the things that Max was accused of in very, very vague terms. And that has a lot to do with the ways that he talks about what he's been accused of. He has managed to retain somewhat of an audience, not a very big one, but a small audience, whom he will describe his transgressions to basically just by saying, like, I was an asshole, I was abusive to women. Even he might use that word. I'm not sure if he ever specifically refers to himself as abusive. I think he has. But he does this kind of like faux responsibility. Like he pretends that he's taking accountability for the things that he's done, while also being incredibly vague about the things that he's accused of, and very vaguely gesturing to this idea that some of the worst allegations in the Daily Beast article are not true. He vaguely refers to that. He doesn't ever get specific about it. He doesn't ever provide, like, proof that it isn't true. He just kind of vaguely gestures to it, so that if you even read this article, you'll be like, oh, well, he probably didn't do all that, right? Even though there's literally, like, there's like witness accounts in some of these of like women who'd said, I walked out into my living room and saw him raping my roommate. Like, you're gonna just say that all those people are liars? Whatever. So there's that. He also at one point, he'd said something about the Daily Beast article where he, let me find it. He defended himself on the Bret Easton Ellis podcast by saying that the Daily Beast article doesn't know what it's talking about because there was one account from when he was in film school of a woman who said that he like sexually harassed the women on set, and he tried to get around that by saying, like, in the Daily Beast article they said that I abused these women while I was directing a student film, but the only student film I directed was this, and none of that stuff happened on it. But actually, in the article, it specifically says, Max Landis played an unspecified role in the production. So his entire defense of himself in this particular scenario is that he only directed one student film and none of this stuff happened on it. Because there's stuff about how he, like, he got women to take their shirts off or something, and he was like, well, the one film I directed on, everyone had their shirts on. And it's like, okay, yeah, but they specifically say in the article, I'm almost positive this was not his script or his production, but he did sit in the director's chair. The name of who was in charge was not Max Landis, but when I showed up, Max was sitting there on the director's chair. So it doesn't fucking matter. that you weren't the director. You still allegedly did this, you know? So he gets off on that a lot, of like just really misrepresenting the Daily Beast article and being really vague about what he's been accused of. And so I do just want to put this in the forefront of this stream tonight, especially because I want to ward him off of commenting on this, because he's someone who definitely Googles himself, for sure. Because when I was doing my research for that video, I would come across people, like videos of people talking shit about him or something, and he would just be in the comments arguing with people. So absolutely, there's no doubt in my mind that he has seen my video. Maybe he hadn't seen it by the time he uploaded this shit, this other Carly Rae Jepsen shit, because the video wasn't that popular at the time, so maybe he didn't see it. But currently, if you go to YouTube, and maybe this is just my algorithm, maybe it doesn't show up like this for everyone, but if you Google Max Landis on YouTube, it's the first fucking thing that shows up. So, like, he's probably seen it. But for some reason, he's never commented on it. He's never said anything about it, even though he is constantly responding to criticism that he gets. But he doesn't respond to this one. And the reason I think that is because I got very specific about the things that he was accused of. And he doesn't want to acknowledge those things. He'd rather just pretend that he was just accused of being, like, emotionally abusive to his girlfriends. When those aren't all the allegations. And those allegations still are pretty fucking bad. So, that's our intro to Max Landis. He's a piece of shit. I wanted to, in my video, my big thing was, I think that a lot of Max's misogyny and his abuse of women, his abusive tendencies, can be found in this document. The ways that he talks about Carly, I don't think is non-representative of how he thinks about women in general. So that was kind of the angle for that. It also is just a bad document. Like, it's poorly written. It's not smart. He's wrong about a lot of stuff. He freely admits that he doesn't know anything about music criticism or really pop music at all. And yet he makes these very, like, definitive statements about how what Carly is doing is, like, different from any other pop star. And I think that Carly is a unique artist in certain ways. And I think that she has her own thing, her own niche. But the ways that he tries to differentiate her from other pop stars is itself a little bit misogynistic. It's very, like, Carly Rae Jepsen is not like other women. It's just a little weird. So we're going to keep an eye on that throughout this new video to see if this pattern continues with Max Landis. Our Maxi patterns, which I wrote, I don't know where it would be in these videos, but I wrote whenever a reoccurring pattern of Max Landis's comes up, I would put Maxi pattern. But, you know, like a pad, like a maxi pad. It's funny, you know. So are we ready? Let me check the chat. God, you guys, normally there's like 5 people in here. And they very occasionally chat, so I'm not actually used to reading all this stuff. I wrote hundreds of pages about Trixie Mattel's music in a Manic episode, but I didn't share it with the world when I was back to a healthy baseline. Well, you know what? I think it's fine to write hundreds of pages and maybe even share it, but do you need to create this whole, like, website around it and do, like, basically a trailer for your essay? Like, the document is one thing, but it's the fact that he like really, really thought he was doing something that kind of gets me. That he really, really thought he discovered something, and that what he discovered was smart and good. Max Landis wakes up every day wanting to take being the actual Joker to the dorkiest horizons. Yeah, though I feel like I think he thinks of himself a little bit more of a hero than like a Joker specifically. He's never taken accountability and deleted all my comments confronting him. Interesting. He's a comment deleter, which I guess is fine. Sometimes people accuse me of deleting comments, which I don't. And it pisses me off because I'm like, but you can see other mean comments in my comment section. Which ones am I deleting? Sorry, Monster Jr. I should say his father is Monster Sr. Yeah, so that's another thing too, for people that don't know. He's a nepo baby, which I got like a few comments from my first video being like, what does him being a nepo baby have to do with anything? And to be clear, I don't think that the problem specifically is that he's a nepo baby. I think there's plenty of nepo babies that do perfectly fine. I mean, anyone, if you get to like this level of success, you probably have some amount of privilege, even if it's not specifically nepotism, just like being born in a kind of well-off family that gives you the opportunity to explore certain things and get certain opportunities. I think it's fine. Use whatever opportunities you have. The problem with Max, though, is that he is someone who gets a lot of opportunities, takes them, and is not good at his job. That's it. And it's a part of a larger problem where the reason he could get away with doing the things that he did to women for a long time is that there were people around him who felt a need to protect him. And I think it's the same reason that he got as many jobs as he did despite not being a very good writer. OMG, the Bret Easton Ellis podcast should be studied. That's the only episode of that podcast I've listened to, is the one with Max on it. I do not wish to listen to any more, but I'm sure it's not very good. What the fuck, Bret Easton Ellis of American Psycho fame has a podcast? He does. He does. All guys are borderline sociopaths, even the nice ones. Our brains have the magic ability to dismiss any bad behavior. It's just what we do. Not all guys. Some of them are nice. I remember seeing him in the comments of FD Signifier before he got big. Yeah. I think FD Signifier is actually or he was a fan of his. I saw FD at one point talking about Max Landis. And FD also did the thing that everyone does where they're like, I don't know exactly what he was accused of, but I know it was bad. And, for anyone who feels that way, I encourage you to look into what he's accused of. Look into the specifics of it, because it's not just kind of bad. It's not just little mistakes. He's not just a little bit of an asshole. No, he needs to be stopped. He needs to be stopped. But yeah, oh yeah, the thing about his dad too is that his dad is John Landis, who, if you don't know, somewhat responsible, not even somewhat, I would say he is responsible for the death of 3 people, on the set of a movie, in a pretty horrific way. And that was another thing too that some people were like, oh, why would you bring up what his dad did? He's not responsible for that. And no, he's not. And quite honestly, as far as any sympathetic feelings I have toward Max, that does come from the situation with his father. Like, I don't think his dad probably was a very good dad. His dad's just kind of an asshole as is, and I think that probably fucked Max up a little bit. Like, there was definitely a bit in the Bret Easton Ellis podcast that I listened to that he was on where I was like, oh, your dad did like fuck you up. Like, there was definitely an air of his father just being very negligent emotionally, and in ways that it almost felt like Max was trying to not acknowledge it, like brush it under the rug a little bit. I did feel bad for him in those moments, because I don't think his home life was that great. I mean, he's, you know, rich, obviously rich and privileged and everything, but emotionally his life seemed pretty empty. So, you know, there's that. But the reason I included stuff about his dad's the helicopter incident on that set is that Max defends his dad. He defends his dad in a lot of the same ways that he defends himself. And so I do think that those are connected. I think that that is relevant. It's not just that I want to hold him accountable for the things that his father did. I don't. But when you're defending your father for the shitty things that he does, I think it's fair to bring up. Especially comparing what you yourself have done and how you defend that. I wonder if his dad also Googles himself. I don't know. I feel like that's specifically a Max thing. His mom also works at my college. Oh. FT has done that a couple times where he acknowledged he's heard bad things but doesn't appear to have done deeper research. Not a horrible thing for FT to do, just at times frustrating when you do know what the bad things are. Yeah, I agree. But at the same time, you know, we can't all just look into all the worst stuff that people have done, you know. It'd just be a bummer. But yeah, I definitely feel that when you see people acknowledging it and you're like, no, wait, let me tell you exactly what he did. Did you listen to part 2 of the B podcast? I found the first part horrifically self-indulgent. The second part was so ignorant, and he never once took accountability. I don't remember. Maybe I did. I'm not sure. It was so long ago that I did the research for this video that I just don't. I feel like I did, but I don't know for sure. Bret was so neutral, didn't read the Daily Beast article or pull him up on his horrible behavior. Yeah, that was the thing that really bothered me. I mean, Bret talked in the very intro of the podcast. He was like, I know he's been accused of things. I didn't look into it. It's like, well, why not? He's on your podcast. Like, you're platforming him. Don't you at least want to know if what he's saying to you is true? Whatever. Couldn't be me. Behind the Bastards did an episode on Max's dad, and it was really good in, you know, a horrifying way. Oh, that's interesting. I listen to Behind the Bastards sometimes. I didn't know they did one about John Landis. The current video I'm working on, I don't want to give too much of it away, but there's a little bit about Jordan Peterson in it. Kind of stumbled into that arena a little bit. And I listened to the Behind the Bastards episodes on Jordan, which were very good. But okay. I guess, are we ready to start? I'm like nervous. I haven't seen any of this. Oh, fuck. Okay. Here we go.
Hello, class. Thank you all for coming today. We're going to learn about something really interesting today involving pop music. Who here listens to pop music? Who's a fan of pop music by hands? Who here is a fan of Carly Rae Jepsen? The pop artist Carly Rae Jepsen, best known for Call Me Maybe. See, a lot of casual fans of Jepsen will stop at Call Me Maybe because that was a catchy song, it's a funny song, it has a unique thematic premise, the idea of a girl putting herself out there, and if you listen to the lyrics, then being rejected. It's actually kind of a unique premise for a pop song.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Oh. So this is one of the things that Max talked about in his original document. This idea that Carly sings about heartache and heartbreak and being rejected, which he believes is a unique perspective for female pop stars to have. No. In my video, I brought up quite a few examples of pop stars singing about being rejected. It's definitely, I would say for sure, to Max's point, I do think that Carly sings about it more consistently than a lot of pop stars do. But this idea, if you're just talking about Call Me Maybe, and you're not even talking about Carly's like overall discography, you're not talking about the patterns in her music yet, you're literally just talking about one song, saying that that song is itself unique in the broader scheme of pop music from female musicians, it's just not true. It's just not true. Like, Baby One More Time, that's about getting rejected. What else? There's lots of Taylor Swift songs about getting rejected. Like You Belong With Me is kind of a little bit about being rejected, about being passed up by another woman. Lots of... It's just kind of... It's almost hard to come up with examples because it's so dumb. To think that women only write about having their desires like met. It feels a little incel-y already to think that women don't deal with rejection and don't write about it. And it's also just an incorrect statement about pop music. Imagine the casting for this. Yeah, I imagine a lot of it is just his friends, because that's the thing about Max, is that he always has a pretty big collection of friends. He always has a pretty tight inner circle that he may or may not be emotionally manipulating. Who's to say? But that's what I imagine this was.
Jepsen was dismissed for the beginning of her career as kind of a trifle, until she put out an album called Emotion. Now, this is how I came across Carly.
What does trifle mean? Am I stupid? I think it's good to acknowledge when you don't know what something means. Because I think of trifle like as a dessert, right? Is that how you spell it? Trifle definition. He said she was dismissed as a trifle. A thing of little value or importance. Okay. Okay. I think most pop musicians are dismissed as that a little bit, but okay.
Carly Rae Jepsen was Emotion. Now, I actually started listening to Emotion every day in the car on the way to work in 2016. And I noticed something, and you'll notice it too soon, but for now it'll sound crazy, which is I noticed that...
Okay, this is the other thing too that he will not get off. This idea that what he's doing by coming up with these patterns in the first place is somehow crazy, that it's going to make him sound crazy. That in itself is so condescending to Carly specifically, but also to like pop music in general and female pop musicians, to think that by taking them seriously and analyzing their work from just an analytical lens, that's going to be crazy. It's not. No one thinks that but you. Well, not no one. Some people do. But most people, especially people who are like actually involved in music criticism and actually care about pop music, most people very on board with this idea of finding patterns and doing lyrical analysis. Like it's not a thing where anyone's like, what? He looked at Carly Rae Jepsen's music and he saw patterns in it? That's crazy. No one does that.
The album seemed to be a concept album. It seemed as though all of the songs only covered an actually very tightly specific group of themes and ideas, sometimes repeating the same words, phrases, or situations, duplicating them more directly than any other pop artist I'd heard. And I thought,
okay, any other pop artist that you'd heard? Maybe just leave it there. Maybe if you haven't noticed patterns like that in other pop stars' work, maybe that's a you thing. Because for sure, this is what's so silly about it too, in the world of Taylor Swift analysis, to act like no one else is doing this with other pop stars. Like Taylor Swift, you can find so much shit about the words that she reuses, the themes that she revisits. There's a whole thing, obviously, about track 5 in her albums, that people think track 5 is supposed to always be the most, like, vulnerable track on the album. There's lots of stuff that people do this with, and I see people doing it with everyone. With every pop artist, if you're, like, involved in the pop stan world at all, you can find people talking about that shit with like Lady Gaga, with Lana Del Rey, with Taylor, with Marina and the Diamonds, with Florence and the Machine, like anyone, any girl that you can think of, someone is doing this with their work. And people did it with Carly's too. I mean, here's the thing about his entire pattern. He gets very specific about it in ways that make the things he's saying actually contradict what Carly is doing. But in general, the pattern he noticed, which other people did notice before him, is that Carly writes about unrequited love a lot, and she writes about the feelings of infatuation with someone prior to actually being like in a relationship with them. It is very romantic comedy based. It's very like light and silly. It doesn't really get into a lot of specifics of a relationship. It just talks about, those early phases of liking someone and hoping that they like you back. That's it. Carly Rae Jepsen is like musical romantic comedy.
Emotion's a concept album. But it wasn't a concept album. I couldn't just put that out there on Medium and act like a straight guy can tell the world about Carly Rae Jepsen. I had to go a little deeper.
Here I was worried that I wasn't gonna have anything to say. His whole thing about, here I was a straight guy. Like, it's so, in a way it's aware. In a way it's aware of knowing how this comes across, that you're a straight dude who just wandered into this conversation, who does not engage with it on a daily basis because of, your identity as a straight man. In general, pop music is something that the girls and the gays are primarily engaging with. Obviously, straight men can talk about pop music, and this was something too with the video that I made. I took a few shots at straight guys. No, I didn't, actually. I'm not even gonna say that. I did not take any shots. I merely pointed out that straight men have a habit, sometimes, of wandering into communities that are dominated by women or queer people and acting like they discovered it. And what I compared that to in my video, and which other people have also pointed out before, is that Carly Rae Jepsen is very popular with heterosexual men, and in a way that's very similar to how My Little Pony is kind of popular with heterosexual men, where a lot of straight dudes have kind of started co-opting the fandom. I don't think it's as bad with Carly as it is with My Little Pony, but it has been happening where Carly Rae Jepsen seems to be the entry point for a lot of straight men embracing their love of pop music, because her music is very stereotypically pop. It's pretty bubblegum, it's pretty light, it's not super serious, but it is also still just very good. It's very catchy, it's very well made, it's well produced, it's well written. So it ends up being a lot of straight men's way of embracing pop music, but not doing it in a way that threatens their masculinity too much. And I think that that's fine if it's an entry point. And this is something that I talked about in the video too, which is where I got comments from people who were like, oh, why are you acting like straight men can't like pop music? Like, I never did that. I never did. I think straight men can like pop music. I don't hate straight men either. Some people accuse me of that. I don't. I think they're fine. I think they're fine. I pointed out in the video, there's 2 podcast hosts of the podcast Switched on Pop. They have talked about specifically that their entry point to appreciating pop music as an art form was Call Me Maybe by Carly Rae Jepsen. And with them, I think that's great. I think it's great that that song helped them embrace pop music as a whole. That is not what Max Landis is doing, though. Max Landis is not using Carly Rae Jepsen as an entry point for pop. He's defending his love of Carly Rae Jepsen by separating her from the rest of the pop world, by acting like she is doing something radically different from other pop stars, which she isn't really. She's doing something unique. She has her own image, her own persona, and she has honed her own style, but she still is just a pop star. And pop music is good. It's good. So one thing too, like, it annoyed me a little bit, because when I saw comments from people being like, oh, you hate straight dudes, I did think for a minute, I was like, maybe I did come across too harsh in that section where I'm talking about straight dudes infiltrating the Carly Rae Jepsen fandom, and, infiltrating, harsh word, but it's, it's evocative. I don't mean it like super literally, obviously, but I did think, I was like, in my videos, there is a little bit of a persona that I'm putting on that's maybe a little bit more sassy, a little bit more bitchy. So I was like, maybe the way that I talked about it, I did come across overly harsh toward our heterosexual male friends. But then what is this? Ugh. But then I reread the script, or I read the transcript of the video, and I was like, no, I didn't say anything that mean. And I also, I talked about, the 2 guys from Switched on Pop, and I even, put up little hearts and stuff next to them. I feel like I indicated that I, in fact, am fine with straight dudes. Though I also got shit from other people, because I said in that section, I said because those 2 co-hosts have talked about having female partners before, that they are categorically cis hetero men. And then I got comments from people being like, just because they have female partners doesn't mean that they're necessarily hetero. They could be bi. Which, the reason I use the word categorically was I meant they are cis hetero passing. They don't talk about being queer. They don't talk about having any boyfriends in the past. They talk about having female partners. So they come across as heterosexual heterosexual men. But it's just funny, the people who were like, bi people exist. It's like, yeah, I know. I'm one of them. And also something too. Everyone brought it up about bi men, that like, oh, bi men exist. No one said anything about maybe I shouldn't assume that they're cis. And I don't know. I've never seen their birth certificate. I've never seen their genitalia. I have no idea. They could be trans. But for whatever reason, the bi erasure was the bigger deal. You know? Which you're complaining about to a bi woman. Like, leave me alone.
I went in and I listened to her previous album, which was called Kiss. And it also only covered the same 3 themes. So I went back to her first album, Tug of War. And it also only covered the same 3 themes. And again, I was hearing repeating words: moon, window, door, light. The concept of vertical movement, getting high.
Window, door, light. These are not specifically unique words. You know? Like, okay. Whatever.
Or falling. Now again, this
Yet
seems a little more
again.
specific.
Falling? People say that all the time, like, I'm falling in love.
It would be weird if you keep noticing that the word door appears on songs where there would be no reason to feature door imagery or window imagery. The idea of waking up from bed or a dream, and I went, wait a minute, this is huge. A pop artist who only tells one story again and again and again, that would be like if Beyonce only sang songs about being bootylicious.
No. No, it isn't. Okay, this is another thing I pointed out in my original video. He did this in this video too. Let's see.
The Beatles only sang songs about yellow. And then you Google it, and surprise, it already has a Wikipedia article and like 12 think pieces. You didn't discover anything. You just saw something that everyone had already seen. Well, I discovered something. Imagine a world where the Beatles only sang songs about yellow submarines, where every single Beatles song, no matter what, eventually came back to being about a yellow submarine. A world where Katy Perry only sang about California girls and Beyonce only sang about being bootylicious. A world where...
Oh, he's even using specifically the same talking point again. Bootylicious. Okay, here's the problem, and this is why Max is just he's not good at media analysis. He is taking subtextual themes of Carly Rae Jepsen's work and comparing it to the textual themes of other musicians. Like, what I pointed out in my video is that Beyonce doesn't sing about being bootylicious all the time. But Bootylicious is a song that is kind of about female empowerment, which is a theme that does come up in her work frequently, you know, like Single Ladies, Run the World, really almost any Beyonce song. It's pretty much all about female empowerment. Ironic, given some current things. But is saying that what Carly Rae Jepsen is doing is different. Because she sings about unrequited love or whatever. It's just stupid. It's dumb. It would be like if I said that Carly Rae Jepsen, that there's no pattern with Carly because she doesn't sing specifically about calling her maybe all the time, you know? It's like, well, that's because that's like the textual theme of the lyrics. but the subtextual theme is the thing that you're seeing repeated, and you're not looking at the subtext of any other artist's work. So it's a different thing that you're comparing.
That would be fucking bizarre. Beyonce has all types of songs. Most pop artists have all types of songs. And knew I had to fucking tell the world. I was so excited. I thought this will get people interested. If it's interesting me, it will connect to people. The thing is, this is also silly, funny, and weird. It's hard.
No, it isn't. It's not silly, funny, and weird to take pop music seriously. It's normal. It's fine. No one thinks you're weird for this.
Hard to explain. It's odd. It doesn't feel real unless you engage with it. It feels like pareidolia. It feels like I've gone crazy or I'm making...
What does that mean? Oh, these captions aren't helping me. What did he say? Pareidolia?
Odd. It doesn't feel real unless you engage with it. It feels like pareidolia. It feels like I've gone crazy or I'm making it up.
Pareidolia? Does anyone know what that word means? I don't even know how to spell it. Pareidolia? Okay, someone's got it. What does it mean? Tendency for perception to impose a meaningful interpretation and a nebulous stimulus, usually visual, so that one detects an object pattern or meaning when there is none. Oh, okay. I understand.
Seeing something that actually isn't that significant, or it's always like that in pop, okay, that's wrong.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thanks. That's wrong. Oh, I guess that's all the work he needed to do. Where's your supporting evidence?
And I knew I had to explain how that was wrong, so I wrote this giant...
But you didn't explain it. You didn't. You just took a few things where you're like, oh, well, because the Beatles aren't always writing about yellow submarines, then other pop stars just don't do this. You didn't really do anything.
Fucking document, because I wanted to prove it was real. I couldn't be alone in it. That would be like the one guy who knew aliens.
You weren't alone in it. Other people noticed before you.
Aliens had taken over the earth. I felt like a conspiracy theorist. The problem with this document...
I felt like a conspiracy theorist. Okay, you wanted people to think of you as a conspiracy theorist. That's why you did this whole fucking website, to look like a conspiracy theory web. It wasn't like this was something other people were projecting onto you. This was what you were putting out on purpose. It won't even load. Can't even show you. Oh, here it is. Yeah, it's like, what? Clearly, this is how you wanted people to think of you. You did this photo shoot. You had this website put together to look like a web.
Which was 158 pages long and analyzed piece by piece every...
He's wrong even about the amount of pages of his... Like, did you not even look at it? What do you mean 158 pages? It's 149. You wrote this script, did you not? You never thought to just, like, look at it? To look at your own document when you wrote what you were gonna say? Like, you did all this production. Didn't think to fact check how many pages your own fucking document was.
Single Carly Rae Jepsen song released up until that point. The problem with this document is me.
I agree. I agree.
Now, I featured myself in it because I thought this is pretty funny. Like, it's a funny thing to have found a secret pattern. Like, why not? If I narrate it and I show I know it's funny, that'll make people more...
It's not funny, though. It's not. If like it's just fine. You just did a thing. Like other people do this. There are people who like their entire jobs are music critics where they do shit like this. I just oh my god. We're never getting through this. This is we're 3 minutes and 46 seconds in. I've been streaming for an hour.
More willing to engage with it, right? Because I'm in on it with you. Speak foolish, because my name has certain associations with it. Now, there are good associations like tall and creative, and there are bad associations like the...
He is tall. I think. I don't... How tall is he? Oh, shit. Max Landis. My boyfriend's computer, so I'm not very good at using the keyboard because it's different than mine. Height. 6'2". All right, yeah, he's kind of tall.
The fact that I am the worst.
Yeah, you are.
That allows people to use ad hominems to attack me instead of engaging with the work. In fact, pretty much...
Okay. Well, you know what? Let's see where this
everyone
goes.
who criticized the pattern when it came out made it about me, because you can't engage with the pattern without acknowledging that it is real.
No, I don't acknowledge that it's real. It's wrong. Okay.
Now, there were also other problems with this document. It was a long document, it was annoying to read, and it was too big. Also, at the beginning of it, I confused a saxophone for a bagpipe, and that...
Yes, he did. He did do that. Which, again, the thing is like, the whole thing about ad hominem and people criticizing him instead of criticizing the pattern, is that, yeah, like his narration is very heavy in it. He is going on a lot of tangents, which makes it very easy to pick apart him as a writer, to be like, hey, dude, you're actually just fucking bad at this. You're just not good at this. Maybe don't do it. That's not, I wouldn't say that's an ad hominem attack, though. Because it's like, well, you wrote it, and they're criticizing you as a writer. But then also, the whole saxophone for a bagpipe thing, it isn't itself just representative of his laziness as a writer, where he wrote this entire 149-page document and never once thought to look up the instruments that he was hearing when he wrote certain things. Like, the bagpipe is one thing, I guess. If you really heard that if you thought it was a bagpipe, then I guess why would you even think to look it up? I think it's a little silly because it very clearly sounds like a saxophone. In fact, there was like an entire meme about how it was a saxophone. People would post videos of people playing saxophones and put the sound of the song over it. So like it wasn't something hidden, but yeah. He thought that it was a bagpipe. A little dumb. The bigger problem is that he's doing lyrical analysis and on several occasions just got the lyrics wrong. Like, he heard them incorrectly and then made his analysis on that. So, like, okay, you didn't look up what kind of instrument was playing in the song. That's whatever. You should have looked up the lyrics. 100%.
Made gay Twitter furious. Now, the other aspect of this that allowed people to...
It didn't make them furious. They just thought it was funny. They thought it was funny that you thought it was a bagpipe, when it's just clearly not. It's not that it didn't make people mad. They just realized how dumb you are. That was mean. I shouldn't have said that. Because I think other people maybe could make that mistake. I've never seen anyone else make that mistake, but maybe someone else could. I don't know.
Distract from what I was saying, the fantastic, wonderful, spiralingly beautiful creative achievement Jepsen has made here is that they made it about her. They said, I'm obsessed with her. I should clarify.
It's not that they were making it about her, it's that they just thought that you're kind of a weirdo. And for people who are a fan of Carly, to see you being a weirdo who is so fixated on her, it's just a little concerning. You know?
I know almost nothing about the real life of Carly Rae Jepsen. I have watched one interview with her. One. Everything we're going to do here in this class is about the music. Now, don't get me wrong. When I put this out, it did go minorly viral. The website with the fucking theory on it, 215,000 views. If you go to some of Carly Rae Jepsen's earliest songs, you can find people in the comments going, this fits the pattern, because the pattern is real.
No. Okay, it's not that the pattern isn't real fully. Because for sure, yeah, there's a pattern in Carly's music that he hit upon. And there are interesting observations that he made about that pattern. The problem is, he insists that every single Carly Rae Jepsen song fits the pattern when that's not true. And maybe it was a little bit more true at the time that he wrote it. Not even really then, because he, in the document, insists that some songs, like, I don't remember what song it was, but there was like a breakup song that she had that he insisted was not about a breakup. That it was about like something else, something that fit his pattern a little bit more. And so there's a lot of stuff like that where it's like he's actually just not, he's oversimplifying Carly's discography to a large degree. And trying to fit everything she does into this pattern, whether or not that's appropriate, because he can't actually see her work as her work. He has to see it as something that he has this particular way of engaging with it, and if he's not engaging with it in that way, then he'll just find a way to make it. And that's a big pattern, or a big problem with him and his pattern. But then even afterward, this is the thing that really pissed me off. Even after his document came out and he did that other video on his channel, this one, the mind-bending truth about the music of Carly Rae Jepsen, he put that out after the Loneliest Time album came out, and insisted that every single song on that album fit the pattern too, which it didn't. Because there are songs, and I know he says that he's not listening to interviews or whatever with Carly, so, you know, he isn't personally looking into the background of this stuff, but she has songs on there that are about, like, her dealing with the pandemic, and about her grandma dying, and other stuff that's just way more like abstract and is not fitting the pattern of her always singing about unrequited romantic relationships, but stuff that's a little bit more like personal to her, like again, like her grandma dying. And he's still insisting that those songs are about romantic relationships, and I just think that's really disrespectful, and it's also really reductive. You know, it's just like, yeah, okay, the pattern exists. It's just not as restrictive as you keep passing it off as.
And at the time, in my old life, before I was a teacher, I was a hotshot screenwriter. So people have potentially shown this to Carly Rae Jepsen. We have friends in common. So even...
Yeah. And I think it's so funny that she's never acknowledged it. I think if... And who's to say? But I feel like if she liked the essay, if she felt seen by it in some way, she maybe would have said something. Or really, in some of the interviews she did before The Loneliest Time, she specifically said that she wanted to write songs that didn't fit like the, I don't think she used the word pattern, but like that didn't fit the pattern of the music she had been writing, which was about like unrequited love and stuff. Like she did specifically say that she wanted to get out of that, which makes me wonder a little bit if she read Max's thing or heard about it and was like, oh, maybe I should do something else. But I don't know. She's never acknowledged it. And why not? Unless she just didn't like it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Knowing that this pattern exists, right? Even it being acknowledged as a thing, in the last 8 years since I put this out.
What was that? In the last 8 years.
Acknowledged as a thing. In the last 8 years since I put this out, Carly Rae Jepsen has released 4 albums and several singles. And they all fucking fit the pattern. How do you...
No, they don't. No, they don't. Fuck you so hard. How does the song about her grandma fit the pattern?
You include Moon on 4 different songs on a single album. How do you put the fucking moon on the cover of your album?
Well, for one thing, it's up there. The moon it's prominent in the sky. We all see it. We all experience it. It's cool. A lot of people like the moon. It's got like a cool little kind of bluish glow to it. There's a whole side of it that we don't get to see. A lot of people use the moon as a motif. Not that weird.
After there's an 158-page long document
149.
that says you're obsessed with the moon.
Who among us is not obsessed with the moon? I mean, come on.
The truth is, it wasn't enough because the pattern continued. Now, I think the pattern creates great music. I love the music of Carly Rae Jepsen. I think she's a really good, really unique pop artist. I love that she experiments. I did make one other mistake. I said all of the songs from Carly Rae Jepsen fit this pattern. That is not true. There are like 10 of something like 250 released songs that don't, which were pointed to as proof that the other 240 didn't. So we're gonna...
No. They were not pointed to as proof the other 240 didn't. They were pointed to as proof that you are overgeneralizing and that you're wrong about some specific claims that you made. You think Max Landis is a moon landing truther too? I don't know. Maybe.
We're going to change that a little. We're going to say the overwhelming majority of her songs fit this pattern. Now, once I explain it to you, if there is still resistance to the idea that this is a real thing, you are not misinformed. You don't have a different opinion. You are deaf. There is no way you can miss the pattern once you see it. It is obvious. It is irrefutable, and it is self-evident. Now, does Carly know? Carly Rae Jepsen does not write all of her own music. She's often credited as a songwriter on her songs. But she does choose the songs that she sings. The fact
she writes a vast majority of her music. It's a little silly to me to do this overgeneralizing with the pattern, to be like, oh, all of Carly's music fits the pattern except for a few songs, but then to be like, oh, well, Carly doesn't write all her own music. She writes a vast majority of it. She's done a few covers, and that's pretty much it. Like, she's a co-writer on a vast, vast majority of her shit. That's like one of her things. She is a singer-songwriter. I don't get why you would need to to say that.
The fact that the Full House theme, which she recorded for Full
Okay, yeah, you're right. The Full House theme she didn't fucking write. Okay.
House manages to fit the fucking pattern is bizarre. I don't know how to explain it, and it is one of the most dopamine releasing, pleasurable pursuits of my adult life. Every time she releases a new album, I have this incredible euphoric moment where I get to listen to the first song and she's like, ever since you left me, I'm stuck on you forever. I look out my window and I'm lifted high into the sky. It's incredible. She never misses. And it's not subtle. That's
You can also have those euphoric moments if you're just listening to the album, though. Like, it doesn't need to be about finding patterns. You can just like the music. You don't have to have, this is the problem too, is like, he needs to have this sort of extracurricular activity in order to just enjoy it. Just listen to it. Just listen to it and be like, oh, this is good.
the most important thing to know about the pattern. Once you are aware of it, it's going to jump right out at you like a Blumhouse jump scare, like a digital jump scare, like bah! So does Carly know? I don't fucking know. That isn't what this is about because it's not about her, right? Now, at one point...
Right. Sorry, I don't want to make fun of his voice crack, though, but it was just a funny timing. And also, like, do another take.
Not too long ago, the Jet Suite X airport coming in from Las Vegas, I saw Carly Rae Jepsen sitting right there alone.
Stay away from her.
And I had a moment where I thought, this is the chance.
No.
But then I remembered something important. I am an LOM, right? And she is a PSFC. I am a large, odd man, and she is a physically small female celebrity. The last thing this woman wants to happen in an airport is this guy walking up to her going, hey, Carly. But you guys have found yourselves in a different situation. Today, we're going to learn the acts, we're going to learn the themes, we're going to discuss the leitmotifs, because at the end of the day, in 2015, I was right about Disney Star Wars. In 2012,
Okay, we're just going to leave that one. We're not going to talk about that.
I was right about Man of Steel. I've been wrong about many other things and decisions I've made in my life, but I'm also right about Carly Rae Jepsen. So let's get into it. Do we have any questions?
Is that his handwriting? It's interesting because, like, some of it looks a little bit sloppier than the rest. I don't know. I don't want to judge him on his handwriting. But just the name Carly Rae Jepsen just looks a little messy. Especially just like compared to the rest of it. I don't know.
So far. The easiest way to describe the pattern within Carly Rae Jepsen's music is to talk about what she doesn't sing about. People will often say, all female pop stars sing about love, dating, boys, rejection, longing, temptation. These aren't crazy themes to sing about, right? These are normal themes. Well, let's try something here. Let's try a little thought experiment. Let's flip it on them for a second. We're going to name some iconic pop hits by female pop artists from the last, let's say, 50 years.
Okay, here's the thing too, is like you can name different hits and you can come up with specific examples that prove your point, but that in itself doesn't prove how prevalent or non-prevalent it is. Like something that I did in my video is I looked at literally I looked at like the top 10 songs from whatever year of like whatever. He was talking about like a Carly Rae Jepsen song. So I looked at the top 10 Billboard songs of that year and looked at the prevalence of the themes he was talking about in those, because that's at least like something that you can make a percentage out of, right? Like if all the top 100 or whatever, if 70% of them fit the pattern, then that would in itself prove that the pattern isn't that unique. And I'm not saying that 70% do fit the pattern, but I'm just saying that, like, you do have to create some sort of, like, statistic or percentage in order to prove how common or uncommon things are. You can't just come up with very specific examples and then act like that's representative of the entire pop industry.
Can anyone think of a female pop song sung by a pop star?
I Kissed a Girl.
I Kissed a Girl. I Kissed a Girl is a fun, flirtatious song about kissing a girl even though you're straight, but you liked it a little even though you got a boyfriend. Carly Rae Jepsen has 0 songs about being tempted by or attracted to other women. Let's name another song.
One More Time.
What does that have to do with anything?
More Time is about wanting to fuck the person who you broke up with one last time, because that will give you power and it will make you feel like the relationship is completed and over. Carly Rae Jepsen has 0 songs about being over someone.
That's not true. Store is a song about her being over a relationship and being like, I'm just gonna go to the store. Bye. So what do you mean? I'm just going to the store, I'm just going to the store.
Interesting. 0 to the left. Nothing like that. No empowering songs at all. In fact, let's do 2 more.
Vogue.
No. There are plenty of empowering songs.
Vogue's about having fun and dancing. Strike a pose. Vogue. Carly Rae Jepsen has no songs about dancing. In fact, if dancing is mentioned on her music, it is only in reference to the idea that she doesn't actually want to dance or party because she's only focused on him. We'll get to him in a minute. Can we get one more?
Like a Virgin.
Like a Virgin is about getting fucked so good. Carly Rae Jepsen has 0 songs.
Ew. It's really not, though. Like, this is again where he's switching the lens that he looks at different songs through, where Like a Virgin, yeah, I guess you can take that about being fucked so good, but it's also about being with someone where it makes you feel like they've erased all of your past loves. Like, it feels like an innocent love again. It's not necessarily about getting fucked. You're a weirdo.
Songs about getting laid, to the exclusion of I Want You in My Room, and I Want You in My Room is a song in which Carly Rae Jepsen begs for sex. So what's going on here? If there's no Teenage Dream, if there's no Taylor Swift's love story, if there's no Material Girl, if there's no Bootylicious, if there's no All My Women Who Independent, if none of these things exist, if there's
What about, like, Party for One? That doesn't count? Boy Problems doesn't count?
no Umbrella, how is it possible she has avoided singing about all these things? Well, it's because she only sings about 7 things. These themes show up on all, pardon me, the vast majority of Carly Rae Jepsen's songs. Temptation, the idea of wanting something you can't have, specifically a boy who for some reason is forbidden. Obsession, the idea of not being able to let go of a romantic relationship, to a degree that many Carly Rae Jepsen lyrics, if you sing them in a scary voice, sound scary. Limerence. Limerence, the idea of the giddy rush of the beginning of a relationship, the idea that everything in your life will be changed by your new relationship, even though you don't know the person that well yet. You may have heard a song about limerence called Call Me Maybe. Secrets, the idea that a relationship or a feeling must be kept secret for some reason. Oftentimes, it's not articulated why, but if people knew this secret, they would judge him or her. Kind of a weird theme to show up really regularly. Escape. The idea that
Again, I just don't think that's that odd of a theme. Like that comes up in plenty pop songs.
the bad situation they are in, specifically he is in, can be escaped by a rendezvous with her. Her love will bring him out of the bad situation and heal them both. Rejection. Rejection is actually a huge theme in Carly Rae Jepsen's music. And when I say huge, I mean huge. Limerence, temptation, and rejection are like the Holy Trinity, except for they backbone all the others. If you are tempted by something, you want to keep it secret. If you're obsessed with something, oftentimes that thing rejects you. You might be obsessed because you're in a state of limerence. You want to escape with the person, but the relationship has to be kept secret and end in rejection. Like on the song Run Away With Me, or 36 other Carly Rae Jepsen songs. We haven't gotten to the weird part yet because the last one is Misery and Longing. Carly has no songs about being over someone. In fact, she has a multitude.
Just going to the store, I'm just going to the store. You might not see me anymore. I'm just going to the store.
Of songs about never getting over someone. In fact, the words never over appear on several Carly Rae Jepsen songs. She even sneaks them in ways that don't make sense, like on The Loneliest Time, she says, I quit smoking all those cigarettes, but I'm never getting over it. It's a strange lyric, just like when she calls herself a room without a door on Here Without You. So those are the 7 themes, right? And they do seem to kind of tell a story a little bit, right? I mean, you can put something together out of those. It's going to get so crazy. Like, this is the beginning.
So crazy. I'm just crazy, you guys. I'm just crazy. I love my crazy friends.
Beginning of it.
He's got like such like quirky white girl energy.
Okay, it's no, it's gonna go way more nuts. Like, this is gonna be worth being here for. Now again, I want to.
Do you think the actors did they know what they were doing? Or did they just like did they just get in a room and he's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna do something."
Specify, I don't know Carly Rae Jepsen. I don't know anything about her life. But if you take these themes and you look at the ways they show up on her songs, you can actually see that certain ones overlap. Some songs contain all of these themes, but the ones that overlap are usually pretty common, and that's when we get to the act structure. Each of Carly Rae Jepsen's songs fits into one of 3 acts in a story. Now, I'm not saying Carly's intentionally telling this story. However, once you see how the songs work, I think you'll agree that it does kind of feel like a story because Carly Rae Jepsen only sings 3 types of songs. The first act, the giddy rush. Carly's just met someone, and this is crazy, but she feels completely different from how she felt before. In fact, she was maybe in a bad or dark place, lost or searching, alone or sad, in a world that didn't understand her and she didn't like. Sometimes she brings up that she has trouble connecting to other people, but usually it's more ambiguous. Carly was really unhappy, but now that he's appeared, everything has changed. Most of Carly Rae Jepsen's songs are in the second person, sung to someone, or rather than about someone.
See, that is something where I'm like, okay, if you didn't oversell your shit so much, that's an interesting thing to point out. That, yeah, they're mostly in second person. I think that's interesting. I don't think it's as interesting as he thinks it is. But yeah, like, if you're just venturing into music criticism, mention that in a little article. That's fine.
Or telling a story. She has very few storytelling songs. There are only like 4 or 5. Think of that against Taylor Swift, who has so many storytelling songs, it's practically half of her career. Carly Rae Jepsen does a different thing, but in the first act, she's met someone, she's excited, she's getting high. The idea of vertical movement upward is often in these songs, either getting high, flying, eyes opening, specifically waking up from a dream. Dreams, the word dream specifically is going to show up again and again and again and again and again across Carly's music, as is imagery of open your eyes or waking up. However, often in Act 1 songs, there's kind of a funny little specific detail that's unique to a Carly Rae Jepsen, I Just Met You and I'm So Excited song, which is that there's something wrong. Oftentimes what this wrong thing is not directly verbalized. However, a lot of these songs make it really clear that they're not together. She's interested in it. She's pitching it. We can be together and it'll change everything, and I feel so strongly. If you'll just say these things, the idea of not saying something or something being spoken only with someone's eyes often shows up in these songs. However, on a couple of songs, she specifically uses the word hesitating or hesitation, as in, why is he not saying yes to her? Why are you not mine? She describes intense, euphoric feelings.
I wonder if he noticed that because he finds it relatable. Why do people keep saying no to me? It's okay. Heard he doesn't really take no for an answer sometimes.
Feelings, limerence, the idea that her world will be transformed by him and she will rescue him. We'll get more into that in Act 2. But something's wrong. Something's off in a lot of these songs. Carly often describes being too much. She wants to cut to the feeling. She wants to skip the hard part of a relationship and go directly to the intense, visceral emotions that she is feeling. Why isn't he feeling them back? Act 2. This is the escape fantasy. Some of Carly's best songs live in this space. It's a fantasy of if we could just be together, if you just be alone with me, if you just drive me somewhere in your car, we could be up all night. The idea of staying up all night, not being able to sleep, or tossing and turning in a bed, specifically the word bed, be on the lookout for. Again, you're starting.
Wow. How abnormal. Bed.
To see this is a little more weirdly specific than you were at first perhaps imagining. Okay, in this, it is always a pitch. It never really happened. Songs like Run Away With Me position Carly as begging her male love interest to leave, escape. He is often said to be in a bad situation. Sometimes, like on the song This Kiss, it is specifically said that he has a girlfriend. He is also, and it kind of recontextualizes the other ones when you hear that, because that starts to sound like the missing piece of why he did not call her back in Call Me Maybe. If you'll recall, the middle of Call Me Maybe is, you took your time with the call, I took no time with the fall, downward movement, you gave me nothing at all, but still, you're in my way. It's actually kind of a strange lyric for the song Call Me Maybe. The idea that the guy not only didn't call her, but wasn't interested in her. Well, that idea is going to get a lot stranger when you start going into the music yourself, because you're going to see that again and again. In Want You in My Room, which I described earlier as Carly Rae Jepsen begging for sex, the chorus is, don't go, no, the night's not over. I just want to get a little bit closer. The entire song is phrased as a pitch. She's almost never actually fucking this guy. If they spent a night together, spending the night together, specifically that phrasing, is like a big romantic goal of hers. It's like the equivalent of getting married, which never comes up. It's a romantic victory at a scale that Carly...
It never comes up, but she is engaged. Congratulations, Carly, to one of her producers. I got a little thing, because So Right was one of my top songs on my Spotify Wrapped. And, you know, sometimes artists do those little clips, and Carly came up and she was talking about how she met her partner that way, and they got engaged after they made that song, and I think that's sweet. So congratulations, Carly.
Couldn't have even imagined, because this guy is often phrased as being in a bad or negative headspace that she will save him from. The idea of her being a light or being guided upwards by light reappears across fucking 8 albums. Sorry, reappears across 8 albums. It's a very unique theme. You might recall in the Full House theme, when you're lost out there and you're all alone, a light is waiting to
carry you home.
What the fuck? That's in so many of her songs. Also the idea of walking under streetlights while you're staying up all night. In fact, she even talks...
But in the theme song, that's kind of like contextually not what he's talking about. Because it's not about rescuing someone that you're not already in a relationship with. It's like reminding you that your family loves you. Right? So I just don't think that that really fits.
Talks on Fever about stealing a guy's bike.
Like, to carry you home. Home where your loved one is. That's not like the that his whole thing is that she never talks about being in a relationship or being happy or whatever. But in that song, if the light is carrying you home, that implies that you are in a stable situation. Right? Why would someone be at your home?
And going to his house while he's not there. When Carly gives details, they are almost always haunting or bizarre. On the song Beach House, she talks about men she's dated, and one of them says he wants to harvest her organs. This is a Carly Rae Jepsen song. Okay, let's...
Yeah, okay, I'm kind of lost with even what he's talking about in context of his own pattern. Because wasn't he just talking about Act 1 when it's about, like, the beginning stages of a relationship where you're, like, kind of obsessed with someone? Like, I don't think that that song really fits. That song is about... it's kind of about being in the beginning stages of a relationship, but it's about being on really terrible dates with men that might harvest your organs. Like, it's not a romantic song at all. It's not about her wanting those men. It's about her going on dates and then being like, oh, these men are fucking weird. A lot of people don't like that song, but I do, actually. I think it's cute.
Move on to Carly Rae Jepsen, fucking rules. Well, hold on, hold questions. Act 3.
Oh, wait, so he was in Act 2 that whole time? Oh, we're getting an ad. Because YouTube is telling me to insert an ad here, I'm gonna do it. Just where he does it, I'm gonna do it. Sorry, if you don't have premium, you're gonna get an ad for a second, but that's fine. You're not gonna miss anything.
If you're an entrepreneur or business
Let's
owner,
watch
there's
whatever
one thing
his
holding you
fucking ad
back,
is.
and it's your mindset. I've taken companies from 30 million to over $1 billion.
So you'd say...
Presuming that everyone's ad was about the same length that that one just was, and you could skip it. Hopefully everyone's back now. It's Lori Laughlin's college. Don't even seem this pathetic. No, they don't at all. Wait, so what is Act 2? Did I miss something? I thought he was still talking about Act 1. I'm gonna go to the transcript and read it. Where am I? 21 minutes in. Okay, yeah. Oh, so the chapter, so... I don't want to start the whole section over again, but I still don't understand. Act 2 is the escape fantasy. Some of Carly's best songs live in this space. Okay. I'm confused, honestly, just on how Act 1 is different from Act 2. Because it's still the beginning stage of a relationship. If the escape fantasy is before she's in a relationship. I don't know. If anyone understands, please tell me.
Say so far, right? So far. I want to be with you, but maybe you're not available.
Oh, okay, look it. He's doing a little recap. Okay, perfect.
I want to be with you so bad. If you would just say yes to me, everything will be perfect and we can save each other and bring each other high.
Okay, so this is where I'm confused though. How does, what's that song called? The one with the guys in it. All around the world. Na, 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 na. I don't know what the song's called, but the one with the harvesting your organs one. Oh, Beach House, that's what it's called. How does that fit into Act 2? It doesn't. This is the problem too, where he's like, okay, yeah, not every song fits perfectly the pattern. Don't hold me to that. But then it's like, but you give specific examples that themselves don't fit the pattern. How does Beach House fit the pattern? She definitely doesn't want to run away with those men. That's the point of the song. I'm so... like, what is he even saying?
To the stars or even the moon. Okay, well, what's the logical conclusion of that? We were never really together. You said we're just friends. I said I love you, and it alienated you. You stopped speaking to me. We are now separated by physical distance or geography, oftentimes articulated by naming a city or saying that there was a plane ride involved, wondering where he is and if he remembers her even. Even while re-articulating, Jepsen goes on and on that she will never get over it. He is the one. She will never forget him, and she will always be waiting. The word friend shows up really often here, that he was a friend and then he friend-zoned her. A female pop artist doesn't generally have more than 10 songs about being told she's just a friend. Carly Rae Jepsen does. It's important that she also never recovers. There is never a moment of romantic triumph within Carly Rae Jepsen's music. If there is, it's in Act 1. It's not in Act 3.
Because you decided that, because you put it into that act. You were like, oh, well, maybe she's happy right now, but she's gonna be sad later, so it's an Act 1 song. Like, how do you know that that's not an Act 3 song? How do you know that that's not the destination? Especially because I just don't even think that that's true.
Even in Surrender My Heart, off the second most recent album, she is saying,
there you go. I mean, I guess he's about to prove how that's not a happy song with her being with someone, but like, why not?
I've been hurt so many times, and I'm here again to take love and receive, and you're the special one, and I'll risk everything for you, even though I'm not sure you like me. But it actually goes a lot deeper than that, because this is still abstract. Within Carly's music, there are a bunch of repeating themes. But there's also sub-themes that are way more direct and way harder to miss. I've already discussed some of them, but before we go on, do we have questions from the class? Calvin.
What is the song with the organ harvesting? Which one is that?
That's called Beach House.
Did you just see the boom mic? Let me stop for a second.
Abstract. Within Carly's music, there are a bunch of repeating themes. But there's also sub-themes that are way more direct and way harder to miss. I've already discussed some of them, but before we go on, do we have questions from the class? Calvin.
What is the song with the organ harvesting? Which one is that?
That's called Beach House.
It just fully, like, right in the middle of the shot. I gotta, like... That is so funny.
Abstract. Within Carly's
Fuck, I keep
music,
going back too far.
there are a bunch of repeating themes. But there's also sub-themes that are way more direct and way harder to miss. I've already discussed some of them, but before we go on, do we have questions from the class? Calvin.
What is the song with the organ harvesting? Which one is that?
That's
Maybe he didn't, maybe he only had this space rented for a certain amount of time. That's so funny.
called Beach House. Beach House is it in theory would be a pattern breaking song, but it unfortunately isn't because it includes pattern words. Several of
No. You can't just decide because it uses specific words that suddenly it fits the pattern. If the pattern is about being categorized into these different acts, it doesn't fit into those acts whether or not it uses common words. He's dumb.
the songs that should be pattern breaking will randomly figure a window or a door or a light into
Okay, but that's not the point. The point isn't the words. It's what the words mean in context. That doesn't... Okay, so it's like he's moving the goalpost constantly, where it's like the pattern is something really vague. It's about like limerence or whatever. Or it's the use of very specific words. It's like, okay, well then what does the pattern mean? Because you can add anything in there and you can be like, oh, well, in a lot of songs she uses the word bath. So even if nothing else is the same in that song, as long as she uses the word bath, we're good. Okay, yeah, then every song fits the pattern because you've made the pattern so fucking broad. Because it includes so much.
lyrics. And that's when you really it starts getting very strange, because you'll get kind of deep into a song and be like, the theory's not real. And then she'll be like, and I knocked on your door and I had to climb.
This is stupid. If that's the only thing holding the pattern together, is that in songs where she doesn't follow the pattern at all, but she happens to say a very common word that is said in songs and also just normal conversation constantly, the pattern is useless. Whatever.
Through the window and you don't love me. And it's like, wait a minute. Oftentimes the second verse is where big reveals happen. Beach House is a unique song because it's one of Carly's funny songs. Carly has a unique sense of humor that pops out on her music and is often a little edgier than you'd expect. My favorite of these being the radio-only edit of I Really Like You, when she says, I need to tell you something, I'm pregnant. And then drops the song fully
So edgy. Wow. She's really pushing the envelope with that one.
out and then says, just kidding, and goes right back into it. But who would hate to hear that you were pregnant? A guy you're not dating. So let's get into the specifics here. Being in a bad or dark place before she met her lover. On Higher, which is again a song called Higher. Carly begins the song by saying, I was lost, alone and searching. The idea of being lost and alone before she met him reoccurs on so many fucking Act 1 songs, you won't believe it. Being stuck in her head or trapped by emotions. The idea of being too much, or specifically even the words,
God, he's repeating himself so much. I know that, like, I know for me personally, me making this criticism of someone sounds a bit hypocritical, but this didn't need to be a 2-hour video. You've already repeated so many of your talking points over and over again. Is this what the whole video is?
My head, in your head. The idea that people are stuck within a box of emotions or a situation that's emotionally uncomfortable for them. Friends upgrading to lovers. They were just platonic, but Carly wants more. Lovers downgrading to friends. Carly wanted more, he said no. Bad or forbidden love. This fits into secrets. Oftentimes, other people are phrased as kind of a mysterious, nebulous external threat to the things Carly is expressing and facing, because she sounds like she is obsessed and in limerence and is about to be.
I just saw in the chat, someone's message was, oh, it says retract, okay. I thought it said deleted. I was like, I didn't delete any video or comment. I just wanted everyone to know. I did not delete anyone's comment if it got deleted.
Rejected. On the song Boy Problems, which is almost a pattern-breaking song, it almost breaks the fourth wall, because Boy Problems is about a girl talking to Carly saying, you always say the same things and repeat the same relationship. Sorry, that's really weird. In context, that's really fucking weird. That one of the only songs that isn't this is someone saying, hey, have you noticed you have a pattern? Being alone with someone. The idea of, now this seems common in pop, but when phrased against these other things, it increasingly seems like Carly is begging to be alone with this person, or pitching, upscaling, being like, come on, we've been friends for a long time, let's be alone. Didn't come here to dance. There's a song called I Didn't Come Here to Dance. Now,
and it's a banger. That song is so fucking good. Oh. Sorry, I just want to say that. Every time I listen to that song, I'm like, God damn.
there's actually a bunch of times this is readdressed, but if Carly is partying or having fun, it is specifically to either get his attention or forget him. It is not about having fun. It is not about having a good time. Last Friday night, it's none of TikTok on the clock. No, Carly's sat in the club. And she's not even sat in the club like I'm in the corner watching you kiss her. She's sat in the club like, hey, oh God. It almost seems like we're hearing one story in parts again and again and again, doesn't it? In your arms. Now, being in someone's arms, common imagery, right? On Carly's music, a little too common. The idea of being in someone's arms or spending even one night with them is incredibly important. Spending the night together, she's obsessed with it. Staying up all night. So often, if Carly's talking about night, it has to do with inability to sleep because you are trapped by your emotions, being kept up. Not saying something. These three are really interesting. Carly's perpetually stopping herself from saying how she feels. Now, on some songs, she says, like, I didn't say these three little words. And on some songs, she says she did. When she's stopping herself from saying everything she feels, we're in Act 2. When she said, I love you, we're in Act 3, because it's scary.
It kind of bothers me a little bit, and it's a tiny thing, but I think when you're doing something of this production where you've got like big actors and like clearly HD cameras and boom mics and everything, could he not write the acts the same way? God damn, I can't get it paused on the same thing.
It. Saying something
like right here. Why are they spaced so differently? Like, just write it the same. Whatever.
Without actually speaking. Now, this is really interesting. She is talking to him or about him and saying his eyes are saying something, or he's not saying something, or she wishes he would express something, because she is projecting. It seems like she is projecting.
Is she projecting? Or are you projecting? Is this, okay. Do you guys see a big black screen at the bottom? Yeah, you do. Let me just widen that. Sorry about that.
Projecting. I don't know Carly Rae Jepsen, but there's a reason this leads to this leads to this. And once you notice it again, can't unhear it. Separation by physical distance or geography. Suddenly, planes I'm hopping, cards I'm dropping, no shop can fill me up. That's from LA Hallucinations, which describes
Also a banger.
an early young relationship of Carly's that for some reason ended abruptly after something was expressed that made someone uncomfortable, and now she wants to be, take me into your arms again and save me from LA hallucinations. I don't know, and I don't guess, because it's none of my fucking business. I'm just a doctor. But oftentimes, after the relationship falls apart, there will be a separation by physical distance. Specifically, you're over there, and I don't know what you're doing, and I'm way over here. Okay, all the other boys. There are lots of other boys in the world who like Carly. All the other boys who try to chase me. Here's my number. If other men are brought up, they are brought up in a deference way. These guys mean nothing compared to how I feel about you. Remember the song that I mentioned, Beach House? I got a lake house in Canada and I'm probably gonna harvest your organs. Crazy lyric for a pop song. But that song actually takes the format of a list of all of the men who she has turned away because the new guy is the one.
No! No! She doesn't turn those guys away because she's interested in someone new. She turns them away because they're weird. Because one of them wanted to harvest her organs. Because one of them had a wife. One of them, I think, lived with his mom. Like, it's different horror stories of being on first dates. And the reason she rejects those guys has nothing to do with her being interested in somebody else. It's because they're weird. Because she just doesn't like them. Like, did he listen to the song? I blame Elijah Wood. Me too. Me too.
Being forgotten. In Act 3 songs, Carly regularly wonders if he even ever thinks about her anymore, even though she'll never stop thinking about him. Now, this actually is one of the most interesting ones because it's one of those unique Jepsen themes that comes up a lot, which is a lover being in a bad or dark place.
Oh my God, he's saying the same shit over and over again. Like, is this gonna be the whole video? I feel like we got the point, and there's an hour and a half left. Oh my God. Like, again, I know that I also have very long videos, but I don't think they're this repetitive. I don't think they're this needlessly long. I hope.
Different songs, Carly literally physically describes herself as a lighthouse. She will guide him, or a light will guide him, sometimes not a lighthouse, sometimes more ambiguous. She will guide him.
Wait, what was that?
Away from the up a lot, which is a lover being in a bad or dark place. On 2 different songs, Carly literally physically describes herself as a lighthouse. She will guide him, or a light will guide him, sometimes not a lighthouse, sometimes more ambiguous. She will guide
Why
him,
would he include that take?
away from the bad or dark. There's a bug up here. No, I'm finally just going off the deep end.
Yes, Professor.
Okay. Lover being in a bad, dark place, she's going to save him, rescue him. This shows up a lot on Act 2, but it also shows up on Act 1 and sometimes on Act 3.
Yeah, it's almost like none of it means anything. That it's all just so vague that you could put all the songs into these different acts because they don't mean anything. Because you made it all up.
idea that he has turned away from a light that could have saved him, but it's usually Act 2 when hey, come on, take me to the feeling. I'll be your sinner in secret when the lights go out from Run Away With Me. And again, I'm naming specific songs. I could keep naming songs. None of these are rare. If you put Carly Rae Jepsen on shuffle, you will hear these 3 acts. So let's do our final 3 leitmotifs here. Dreaming, sleep, and beds. I mentioned waking up and opening your eyes. Well, also dreaming, being in a dream, having a bad dream, waking up from a dream, feeling like you're in a dream, opening your eyes in bed, laying in bed, staying up all night, specifically beds, sleep, and dreaming. They're going to show up a lot. Cars and driving. Carly wants to go somewhere in a car. Cars come.
Well, that's a very common mode of transportation. I hope that clears things up. He does seem particularly invested in women being vulnerable.
Up really often, being in the car with him. When we took that special drive, Let's Get Lost. Baby, let's take the long way home. Fucking amazing Act 2 song from Emotion. Describes sitting in a car with a guy you have a crush on, who you're not with, and wouldn't it be great if we just drove away together, but it's not going to happen. Waking up and opening your eyes, that kind of goes without saying. Are there any questions? Anything at all? Trinity.
I wonder what female pop star is on Max Landis' creepy whiteboard this month. I'll tell you exactly which one. Carly Rae Jepsen. That's the only one. The only one.
Do you think, like, this is actually Carly Rae Jepsen speaking, or do you think she's, like, making a comment, or, like, is a character?
It's a wonderful question, right? Because very clearly, trying to psychoanalyze someone through their pop career is a pointless, facile, and insulting endeavor, right? I'm not coming into this speculating about why Carly's doing this. But let's take that and point out that the words window, door, bed, dream, light, and moon appear so often that if she's not at least aware that this is a choice, then it has to do with the songs she is choosing. Is she...
Yet again, the songs that she's choosing. He did this in the document too, where he just makes these underhanded comments that undermines the fact that Carly writes a vast majority of her work. Like, the songs that she's choosing, that's a handful of songs. Most of them are songs that she's writing. And I don't know. It's just a little bit weird to me when you pair it with the way that he wants to overgeneralize the songs that fit into this pattern, but then is more specific in acknowledging that Carly has not written every single song she's recorded, you know?
Playing a character. Well, we'll get into that. We have a discussion group tomorrow where we're going to get into that, because when I hit you with Carly Rae Jepsen's first 3 released songs, it's going to fuck with you a lot.
No,
it's going to fuck with you a lot.
No, it's not.
Because those songs aren't even available on Spotify. They're only available on YouTube. And if you go to them, you will see people talking about the pattern, because that's ground zero. So is she playing a character? The short answer is, I have no fucking idea. If she is, she's the fucking Andy Kaufman of pop music. She fucking balls deep in this. She has committed a career to it. I mean, even on songs she features on, like Love You Like That by the Knocks, they generally are, you don't love me like that. Ooh, got friend zoned while you're doing a feature? You're getting friend zoned on a feature? We don't even have to try. It's always a good time. And yet no romantic relationship of any kind is mentioned in the song Good Time with Owl City. I don't know, Trinity.
Yeah, it's almost like it doesn't fit the pattern at all. Right?
But we will discuss it tomorrow because you'll have a little more frame of reference. So let's lastly talk about vertical movement. The idea of rising, getting high, flying, going up. All of these things show up constantly. Act 1, except for in Act 3, falling, going down, sinking. All of these show up in Act 3. More often, you'll see versions of going up in Carly Rae Jepsen's video for the Loveliest Time, which was released 5 years after the Pattern document went viral. She begins the video sitting on a bed, looking out a window at the moon, then gets in a rocket ship, goes to the moon, and then if you were wondering if this exists only in the video or if it's also in the song, the bridge begins with, "What happened was we reached the moon, but lost in space, I think we got there all too soon."
But you know what? I'm coming back for you, baby. I love that song, and I love the video, and I wish that YouTube wasn't so strict with copyright, because I would just play it right now, because it is very cute. But I'm confused with, like, is he trying to imply with the whole, like, 5 years after the document was published, like, I know he's saying verbally that he doesn't know if Carly knows about the document. I know he's saying he doesn't care if she knows about it. I know he's verbally saying that, but I do feel like he thinks currently, since he's put the document out, that she's sending him a message. I think he thinks that.
But you know what? I'm coming back for you, baby. This guy
I'm
didn't
coming
want her.
back for
It all
you.
went wrong. But come on. It was so good. So that is the Jepsen pattern. The Jepsen pattern runs across all, the vast majority of Carly Rae Jepsen's music. It runs across all of the released albums, with at least 8 of each of the songs on the releases at least fitting the pattern. There are specific songs like Bucket, which is about a sandcastle. I don't fucking know why that song exists. There are specific songs in Jepsen's milieu that don't fit the pattern in as much as they don't, to the scientific method, fit this. There are a few. There are like 11 of them. However, songs like Worldly Matters describe Carly being lost and alone, not being sure what her purpose is in life. You could very easily make the argument for every single one of these songs. If you view it in a narrative sense, they do fit into this story. A young woman romantically fascinated with a man a little older than her who is unavailable, perhaps not older than her, perhaps her own age, but still unavailable, unreachable, and way over there, has a single tryst, one night or a brief affair, following which she is friend-zoned and rejected, but pines on him forever. Now, is this a character, or is it a thematic viewpoint? You know, there are so many bands that exist to pursue a thematic narrative, that the entire band is essentially a concept album band. There are pretty much no pop artists that are like this, you know, but Carly Rae Jepsen is. I think that you will find, when you go into this, hopefully what I have found, which is that I think this is fucking wonderful. I think this is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. The fact that...
If you like that, you're gonna love the rest of pop music. You can do this with any other artist. You just have to be looking for the right stuff. You happen to be looking for a woman who's vulnerable. Don't know why, but you are.
Carly Rae Jepsen repeatedly innovates her musical style, experiments. She's insanely prolific, putting out B-sides that are just as good as her hits.
That's true. He's right about that. Her B-sides are great.
And yet they're all fucking this. Something about that is a monumental achievement in media. Something about that, and the fact that she's not recognized for doing that, is crack cocaine.
But she is recognized for it. Other people have noticed this. Just because you don't read doesn't mean no one else is writing it.
To me and to the people who crack it open. Again, I'm teaching you in this class. I'm not teaching you from a place of desperation. I'm teaching you from a place of confidence. Hundreds of people have told me this is real. Thousands of people have said it is real without engaging me. Carly has never acknowledged it, but why the fuck should she? We are now going to ask for some class participation. We're gonna do a reading of a Carly Rae Jepsen song called Roses. Okay? So we're then going to analyze the song, so make notes during it, by using the Jepsen pattern. Who would like to be my student reader? Calvin. Join me at the front.
Yet again, I feel like this is just such lazy, it's such a lazy way of presenting this, where he's just continuously bringing up songs that he thinks fit the pattern, where, like, I would be kind of interested if he did, like, I mean, I wouldn't want him to do it because I think that he will make anything fit the pattern just by changing the way that he looks at it, but I do think it would be kind of fun to go through her entire discography and really, like, analyze the data and analyze, like, how often, like, what percentage of songs include certain words. And then also, but you would have to do this with, like, another artist too, to compare how different they really are. But, like, go through and say, like, how many songs, what percentage of songs actually do seem to be about the beginning stages of a relationship, what percentage of songs seem to be about escapism or whatever. That would be kind of cool to do that with her work, with anyone's work, to, like, actually analyze it from, like, a percentage level and make statistics out of it. The way that he's just constantly bringing out new songs and being like, now look at this one, now look at this one, now look at this one. It's like, okay, what did you prove? You proved that you can pick out examples? That doesn't prove a pattern, though. That proves that you can find examples.
Front of class, please. So don't attempt to sing this. This is from Emotion Side B. This is the song Roses. Why don't you guys go ahead and analyze this as he slowly reads this.
Knock on the door, leaving it open. It wasn't you. Why was I hoping? Said it before, and I'll say it again, that I'll always be here when you need a friend. I sat with you on my bedroom floor, and I couldn't move, all that we were losing. I saw you like I never did before. I never did before. And I can feel you reaching through the cracks, a simple change of seasons, and you're back. All the roses in the garden fade to black. Oh, oh. Yeah, I can feel you reaching through the cracks, a simple change of heart, and you attack. All the roses in the garden fade to black. Oh, oh, I won't take it back. Cat got your tongue, it's been forever. Have you been good? Have you been better? I've said it before.
He is such a poet. What can you say?
And I'll say it again, that I'll always be here if you need a friend. I sat with you on my bedroom floor, and I couldn't move, all that we were losing. I saw you like I never did before. I never did before.
So, thank you, Calvin. Everybody, round of applause. Can anybody tell me what act Roses took place in?
3.
That's correct. Roses is an Act 3 song. Carly is left without someone who gave her some painful news that led to her being alone and longing for him forever. Now, how many pattern elements did we notice in the song?
She said door.
She said door almost immediately.
She said bed.
She said bedroom, and bed figures into that. Also, the song, one of the first Carly Rae Jepsen songs, Bedroom, describes how good it is to be alone with someone in secret in a bedroom. But what else? What else did we hear? Did we happen to hear, I'll always be here when you need a friend? Okay, did we hear, I saw you like I never did before. I couldn't move all that we were losing. So she was rejected. I can feel you reaching through the cracks, a simple change of seasons in your back. She's remembering him. But a simple change of heart, and you attack. What's that lyric about? A little bit more rejection. Let's get a little deeper in. Cat got your tongue. It's been forever. Almost like, why aren't you saying something? You're not saying something.
This is so
Have you been
boring.
good? Have you been better? Almost like he was in a bad or dark place. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'll always be here if you need a friend. So again, this is a song about being dumped. However, Calvin did not actually go on to read the second page, which has a few more. Drunk on cigarettes, last chance, say the words. Dancing in the dark, love made in the park, big black blossom tree, baby cover me, hold me, left to blow, please don't let me go, please don't let me go. Wow, it's almost like he never said I love you, he didn't say something, down to actually saying the words, last chance, say the words. The dancing is a memory of a previous time when love was made in the park, under a big black blossom tree, which again, these are not unspecific images. Oftentimes, Carly will throw really specific images into a song that could otherwise just be a song about getting dumped. But specific images and ideas will place them as elements of memory rather than of fantasy. So is it a character trinity? I don't know. But you would agree that that pretty
Like, I feel like I'm worried about this not even being transformative content anymore because I don't even know what to say about it. It's like he's just saying the same shit over and over again, and I don't want my commentary to be repetitive, but it's really hard when the stuff that he's saying is so repetitive. Like, what else am I supposed to fucking say? Just shut up.
pretty clearly was an Act 3 song about being rejected by someone you weren't fully with and will now pine on forever, yes? You would also agree that it contains the word door, the word bed, the idea of not saying something.
Yes,
the
we
idea
get
of
it.
wanting someone else to say something, the idea of rejection. Okay, let's go a little deeper. Let's go to Carly's second to most recent album. This is a song called Talking to Yourself. Who would like to be my student reader?
I was always invisible. Consequences are difficult to face. Could have been something beautiful, but you made it impossible to stay.
I do, like, I find him so relatable when he's over there just like, wow, at the lyrics, because I am sitting there like, damn, she is good, though. That's a good song.
So tell me what you got on your mind, what you got on your mind, what you got on your mind. Am I keeping you up at night? Keeping you up at night? I'll never let you be, no. Are you thinking of me when you're with somebody else? Do you talk to me when you're talking to yourself? Are you reaching for me, making love to someone else? Do you talk to me, when you're talking to yourself, self? When you're talking to talk to me. When you're talking to yourself, you were never just miserable without talking to me, with you all the way. Don't it hit you subliminal? Now that I'm not the only one who's taking the blame, so tell me what you got on your mind, what you got on your mind, what you got on your mind. Am I keeping you up at night, keeping you up at night? I'll never let you be, no. Are you thinking of me when you're with somebody else? Do you talk to me when you're talking to yourself? Are you reaching for me, making love to someone else?
Everybody, Trinity?
You can definitely tell that that woman has never heard the song before, which I think is actually good. Because she's just reading it in just like the normal cadence, but it is just funny to hear it out of like the cadence of the song, like how it's said in the song, which I think if I were to read the lyrics, I wouldn't be able to read it like that. I would just read it the way that, in like the rhythm of the way that Carly reads it or sings it. So that's kind of fun to hear it in that way. Okay, I love her reading. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's so good. I hope these poor extras got paid. I suspect that these are all his friends. That these are all people in like his inner circle. in Hollywood that he has conned into thinking that he's a good person. Because honestly, I get it. I mean, at this point, with how much is out there about him, I would never hang out with him, but like, if you were just like a kid in Hollywood, especially if you were like new to the area or something, which a lot of, that does seem to be how he kind of preys on people in a way. He like finds these people who want to make it in the industry but don't really know anyone. He starts hanging out with them. They start to think of him as, you know, someone who will look out for them, someone who will, oh my god, look at the fucking, I'm so sorry that there's all these gaps on the screen. It's hard for me to see them. But he gets these people in his inner circle, and then he emotionally abuses them, allegedly. He's just a pretty manipulative person, it seems. But I get why these people would flock to him. I don't know if maybe they are just totally just hired extras, but I imagine that they have personal relationships with him. He probably spent $750 to $1,000 on the cast. Cameraman, studio rental, editing, all this production for less than 10K views in 8 months. Yeah, I know. I hate to like dog on someone's views because, you know, I'm also like, I'm not a big channel at all, but I mean, yeah, for this level of production, it's a little sad.
So what act did that song take place in?
3.
Class, did it sound like 3?
Escape fantasy.
That's a 3. That's a 3. It's Obsession.
Nah, these aren't his friends. They are just moved to Hollywood looking for a gig. I think that's how he makes his friends, though. I think that's part of his MO. Is he finds people who are new to the area, looking for a gig, looking to network, to make connections in the industry. And that's what he preys on. So whether or not these people are like close to him, I feel like they're definitely being invited to his house, like to parties and stuff, and I can't blame them for going, I guess.
But it contains elements of 2.
His old videos were all his friends at the time. He is a rotating cast of friends, for obvious reasons.
Do you remember me now that you've rejected me? Right? It's a romantic liaison that was shut down, and now she remembers it forever, and she just hopes he remembers her. So let's just look at this really quickly. I was always invisible. Consequences are difficult to face. Why would there be consequences for a romantic relationship unless it was kept secret? You've made it impossible to say, so tell me what you've got on your mind. What you've got on your mind. What you've got on your mind. Almost like he's not saying something. Am I keeping you up at night? The idea of staying up all night appears twice. And then, are you thinking of me when you're with somebody else? Do you talk to me when you're talking to yourself, right? So now we go a little deeper. You were never just miserable without me taking you all the way. What a strange pop lyric. Almost like a relationship that brought someone out of a dark space, flew into a limerent space, and has now led to rejection and misery and longing. Again, there's more in here, but I'm not going to belabor it. I'm going to now do one more reading. This is Carly Rae Jepsen's first ever released song off the EP, Dear You. It's one of 3 songs off that EP. Any guesses as to what these 3 songs are about?
Act 1, Act 2, Act 3.
Trinity?
Act 1, Act 2, Act 3.
Excellent. This is actually a cult.
Dear you, I'm
It is actually a cult, yeah. Unironically, it might be.
Thinking about you and I can't seem to get you from my mind, no. It's true, I imagine us together, and I won't pretend it doesn't feel just fine, oh. My dear, dear, dear you. I'm craving to be near you. Dear you, I want to share your flannel shirt. I want to share my joy and hurt with you alone. If you taught me to, not your tie just right, could I maybe? Keep it for the night. With you attached, my dear, dear, dear you. I'm aching to be near you. Could I slip into your arms just like a puzzle piece? We fit so perfectly. Would I melt under your hidden charms and close my eyes and fall so desperately for my dear, dear, dear you? Dear you. I'm waiting to be near you. Dear you, you're the only one for me, no one else could win each game you see. And still you have my heart, oh. You see, I'm so distracted by your smile. I'm so attracted all the while. It's hard to speak, my dear, dear you. I'm dying to be near you.
So that was kind of interesting, right? Where do we think that goes? Boom! That is the first song off the album titled Dear You, and it is an Act 1 song. So let's take a look. What did we hear?
Obsession.
Obsession, we did. I'm still thinking about you, and I can't seem to get you from my mind, but that also has to do with being trapped in your head or trapped with your thoughts, right? I imagine us together. And it feels just fine. My dear you, I'm craving to be near you. Now we have, I want to share my joy and hurt with you alone. Now that doesn't quite fit the being alone thing, but it certainly does with, if you taught me to not your tie just right, could I maybe keep it for the night with you attached? Spending the night together, but also clarifies that this is a pitch. This is not someone she's dating. This is not someone she's sleeping with. She also says here, and this is really interesting, could I slip into your arms? Again, the idea of going into someone's arms is a pretty common theme in love poetry, but why does it have to show up in exactly those words so many times? It's kind of interesting. We fit so perfectly. Would I melt under your hidden charms and close my eyes and fall so desperately? Vertical movement downward, eyes closing or opening. I'm waiting to be near you. You are the only one for me. No one else could win each game. All the other boys tried to get me. Here's my number, call me maybe. No one's as good as you. You can still have my heart. I'm so attracted by your smile. So attracted all the while. It's hard to speak. Almost like she's not saying something. So, would you agree that those three songs do seem to contain uncanny similarities to the pattern I'm describing? Would you believe that the vast majority of Carly Rae Jepsen's songs will hit the same buttons those just did, where your ears perk up and you go, why'd she use that word? Because they do. Tonight, I'm going to be assigning you a homework assignment. You're going to film yourself on your cell phone. At the end of this document I've given you, starting at the bottom of this page here.
Oh, these poor people.
The formatting here, but that's the public school system, right? What act does your song...
Well, that's a public school system. What would you know about it? You fucking rich asshole. You didn't go to public school. I know you didn't. In fact, you talked about it. You talked about how you didn't like the school you went to.
Take place in? Which of the 7 themes does it include? And what leitmotifs or sub-themes does it include? I've created a playlist featuring the majority of Carly Rae Jepsen's released music called Jepsenology 101. I'm going to email all you on the playlist on Spotify. You're going to listen to 3 songs, okay? You're going to put it on shuffle and go 1, 2, 3. You can just Google the lyrics of the songs that randomly come up and you'll go like this. And the camera will go on you like this. Like that. Carly Rae Jepsen is a brilliant performer and singer and songwriter who has, intentionally or otherwise, achieved something truly bizarre, powerful,
it's not that
emotionally
bizarre.
moving, and you'll find kind of haunting. There is a deep sadness to a lot of Carly Rae Jepsen's music, even in her happiest songs. A sense of girlish hopefulness.
Girlish
that can only end badly.
hopefulness.
We are dealing with an artist who has formatted themselves across one story for 18 years. Do we have any last questions?
My question is, do you think this pattern contributed to her cult-like following, or did it prevent her from transcending this perceived one-hit wonder status most may hold?
I think the idea...
That's a nice question. I don't like it in the context of this pattern that he's so insistent on, but I do think that's a fair thing to ask.
Idea, I think, within the gay community, I think within the community of younger women.
Two things that you know so much about.
The idea of powerfully expressed emotions of sadness, longing, and rejection have a connective tissue, especially when phrased inside of what can best be described as sort of candy disco pop. You have to keep in mind that Carly Rae Jepsen's first EP and album are way closer to Michelle Branch than the Carly Rae Jepsen you guys know from Call Me Maybe. They're much more singer-songwriter, and these themes are much more way out front and direct and specific. Carly has evolved herself again and again and again. Emotion is a legendary 80s-inspired, synth-driven pop album that took her from one-hit wonder to respected artist.
Is he gonna answer her question? Like, I feel like he's not really responding at all. Like, she's asking, why do you think Carly has never, like, transcended a certain level of pop star, like a cult-based fandom, rather than being super mainstream? I don't think he's answering that question at all. Maybe he'll get to it, but I kind of doubt it.
But has it stopped her from crossing
okay. I spoke too soon. I'm the asshole this time. My bad.
All the way over? I would argue yes. I would also say that Carly doesn't...
Wait, I have to go back. I'm still...
took her from one-hit wonder to respected artist. But has it stopped her from crossing all the way over? I would argue yes. I would also say that Carly doesn't, despite painting this incredibly specific picture of a character, Carly does not frame it that way and does not introduce herself or promote herself in the same way a Rihanna, a Taylor Swift, a Beyonce, a Katy Perry, even a Kesha does, as I'm the person who does this. Every time Carly comes back, she comes back different, often with different hair and different outfits. Now, this level of reinvention really works well when you haven't had a song like Call Me Maybe. Call Me Maybe, I think, backed her up. If you look at I Really Like You, Call Me Maybe, Higher, Cut to the Feeling, most of her biggest hits, now they're most of her most beloved songs in terms of the communities that love her, myself included, the straight Jewish weird guy community, which me and Andrew are part of. It's interesting because the songs I connect to personally are Act 3 songs, but there is definitely a level of non-variance. If you look at the album Teenage Dream by Katy Perry, you're dealing with songs about all sorts of different shit. If you look at Taylor Swift's biggest albums, they're all sorts of different shit. Like, I've got a blank space. I'm crazy. You want to date me? I'm nuts. Oh, actually, you're nuts. I knew you were trouble when you walked in. I don't care what the haters say about me. You look at all of Taylor Swift's songs.
Yeah, he's just rambling, and I really don't think that he answered the question completely. Like, he kind of did. But he also, like, he's just so fixated on this shit that he wants to say that he's not really totally switching modes here. I do think, to answer that woman's question, I do think that Carly's resistance to participate in a meta-narrative about herself is probably a somewhat restrictive thing for her as a pop star. I don't think it's restrictive. I think that it's just like she's in her niche that she wants to be in, and I think that's probably a better place for her to be in. It's probably a better place for a lot of people to be in, to be honest. I feel like the reason that Carly's been able to release as consistently as she does is because she isn't at the level that like a Gaga or a Katy or a Taylor is. she doesn't have that same kind of pressure. You know, her promo cycles can be a little bit more laid back, which gives her more time to like actually write her shit and just make music and do the thing that she wants to do without having to be this like global pop star. But I do think that the reason she's not a huge global pop star is because her music is just simple pop music. She doesn't participate in a meta narrative about herself, and by that I mean that like she's not in conversation with her own persona the same way that like, you know, like when Lady Gaga came out with the Fame, she was already engaging in a meta narrative about herself by just commenting on the concept of fame in general and how she may or may not fit into that. And the same thing with Taylor Swift. Obviously, Taylor is always engaged in a meta narrative with herself. Katy Perry is to a degree. She was. I think that's also a reason why Dua Lipa isn't as big as some of these other pop stars, even though she obviously has some pretty big hit songs and stuff. She's still, even after like Future Nostalgia and everything, where she was a main pop girl for a minute, she sort of slid backward with the last album, where, you know, the album still did well. It's still, people liked it. I like it. I still listen to it. But it wasn't like at the forefront of popular culture the way that she maybe could have been if she wasn't also just making very standard pop tracks that are pretty generic and that aren't engaging in a meta narrative with herself. She doesn't write like super personal stuff. She doesn't write stuff that at least like sounds personal to people where they can recognize like, oh, that's a reference to this thing that happened or whatever. She's not as interested in engaging with the idea of her celebrity. And I think that that's a big part of why Carly probably is not that big either. Why she has this more like cult status, which is different from like, you know, being the A-list pop star. But probably better. I think that like being the A-list pop star, it takes a certain level of narcissism for one thing, which I don't think is like, I'm not saying it's a negative, but like you have to want to be at that level to get there. It takes a little bit of that. It takes a lot of it just takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of dirty work of being involved with the creation of your persona. And I think that Carly's not super interested in that the same way that like Taylor Swift is.
She has a song about buying a house. Like, here's the history of a house I bought. What the fuck? Carly Rae Jepsen has songs about wanting someone who doesn't want you, wishing you could run away with them, and getting flicked to the curb by that same guy. Any other questions? Neeson.
So doing this research,
Yes.
have you found that she has the same co-writers or songwriters? Because with a person like Taylor Swift, right, the reason why she has so many songs that's out the blue, she's writing moments in her life.
Capturing
Yes.
diary.
Yeah, diary, right? Carly Rae Jepsen, she's having these same exact things that's reoccurring. Are these the same writers that are writing with her, or have they just found a pocket where they're like, yeah, what's your thought process on that?
There are some producer threads, there are some songwriter threads. I don't lean into that aspect of it because that is not impressive to me. What's impressive to me is the consistency of these ideas, and she's the credited songwriter on Dear You. So she starts this ball rolling on that first EP.
She's a solo creditor.
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
So
What if she's actually using different writers and different producers for those certain acts?
I mean, that would be incredible to know if you want to ask ChatGPT to do that for us.
She might not even know that. She might just like this one person for this style, and
She can't not know. That's the hardest part of this, is it has to either be a subconscious knowledge or a conscious knowledge. But you don't accidentally just keep going upstairs, getting on planes, opening.
She has to not know she's doing it or know she's doing it. Those are the options.
And closing doors and looking out windows at the moon. You don't. It doesn't happen organically unless those things, hey, okay, I'm a screenwriter, right? My stories, when you break them down, are ultimately about outsiders with a special talent who are alienated by their poor social skills and lack of ability to relate to other people, redeemed by their talent, which ultimately causes them to find acceptance, or, if things go tragically, like in Chronicle, death. The same power which makes them special is the power that destroys them. Now that's a theme in my work, but no one's comparing American Ultra to Chronicle to Victor Frankenstein to Bright, right?
If you're writing just American Ultra in like the style of Sweet Valley High.
Yes.
Where you're stuck with these conflicts that a teenage girl might be, so you have these base themes, these like almost like the archetypes of what it's like to, oh, I'm crushing, oh no, like all these archetypes that once you define that, your selection is only so many, right?
No. Creativity is a glass planet, Andrew. Yes. Literally, you can do whatever the fuck you want. A teenage crush can lead to a marriage or a murder, and everything in between.
When it's defined from the girls, from like the teenage girl's point of view, where she's so afraid of, oh, I'm getting mortified. Remember that 17 style, that 90s almost idea of the teenage crush.
Right, but then you put that against Clueless and it doesn't exist. Yeah, so there are themes that Carly touches on that are archetypal cliches, but the fact that it always goes the same way, that's the interesting thing, that there's no variance. There's not a version where she fucking gets the guy.
Right, and there's no single puppeteer that you can point to either.
Other than Jepsen herself.
Can you point to thematically, maybe she's just writing about one single story?
Of course you could do that, but I'm not gonna, because I don't know her. This is the Talmud here, and I'm a rabbi, and she's God, okay? I'm not here to question God, and I'm not here to investigate the motivations of the rabbi. I'm here to look at the Word. The Word is there for the people to see it. John.
You corrected yourself a couple times when you said every fucking, sorry, the vast majority of her songs. If you could give it a percentage.
95.
Okay.
95.
That's okay, you just pulled that out of your ass, but yeah, that is what you should be doing. You should be giving a percentage. You should be making this data, not just speaking anecdotally all the time. If you're actually serious about this being like a real pattern.
% of the Carly Rae Jepsen, more maybe. It's hard to find ones that don't. And the ones you find that don't specifically include the word.
He loves being a teacher and just talking at people. Yeah. He'd be a great philosophy professor.
Words or phrases will still find a way to include the idea of one of these themes.
I wondered about that, like if they were just stories, like how Taylor writes stories about.
Taylor writes stories about incidences, but like in the song Getaway Car, it's like, hey, we started a relationship that could have never worked because we met in a getaway car. That's, maybe that's a real thing. Maybe that's a metaphor. Getaway car is what they call cars that take celebrities away from events. Isn't this could be about Tom Hiddleston, right? Like, maybe they were at an event together, nothing good starts in a getaway car. Celebrities are often thrown into odd couples in these cars that leave red carpets. Maybe that's what she's singing about. Carly doesn't have songs like that. Okay, thank you, class, for coming out to Monterey Park. Give yourselves a round of applause.
I don't know what you mean like that, though. Like in what are we comparing? He's just like he's a bad communicator, which is funny because he's a professional writer. Like that is literally his job.
You're beautiful, 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 you're beautiful. Chris is beautiful, Big Chris is beautiful, Ben is beautiful.
You're beautiful.
Carly Rae Jepsen is beautiful. Yeah, what is it? You're beautiful. Yeah, Keanu Reeves, you're beautiful.
Okay.
Good morning, class.
Morning.
Nice to see you all again. How many of you did your homework? Raise your hands. Nice, incredible class. Nice work. How many of you, Mr. Schwartz?
I'm sorry.
Not even the noise of a phone call.
No, it was a ping from like an hour ago.
You're trying to find your cell phone that you're holding? Put your cell phone under the table, please, Mr. Schwartz.
Yeah, you got it.
I don't get paid enough for this. In fact, I'm paying to be here. How many of you who did your homework noticed that one or more of the songs contained the Jepsen pattern? Interesting. How many of you had 2 songs that contained the Jepsen pattern? How many of you, 1? 2. How many of you had 3 songs, or if you didn't have 3, had a song that could be argued to fit the Jepsen pattern? So we're going to start off today revisiting the story of the highs and lows of an obsessive love with a platonic friend who briefly indulges it. Looking at the chorus of Carly Rae Jepsen's Christmas
boring.
song, Mittens. I fell for you like crazy, and I can't get thoughts of you from me. So give me your warmest, strongest pair of mittens, please. Why are you talking about getting dumped in your Christmas song? Better question. Why is Carly Rae Jepsen's other Christmas song called It's Not Christmas Till Somebody Cries? Better question. Why is Carly Rae Jepsen's only 80s cover, Last Christmas, a song about getting dumped on Christmas?
Because every pop star covers that song. Literally all of them. Everyone's done it. Taylor Swift, Sabrina Carpenter, Hilary Duff, My Bitch. Everyone's done that song.
We're going to come over here. These are the Carly Rae Jepsen albums, including the EP, but there actually is a song that predates a lot of these. It's called A Cup of Tea. I'm now going to read for you the lyrics of A Cup of Tea. A cup of tea, a cup of tea. I've been driving all night. You won't turn on your light that easily. A neon sign offers some shelter across the street. Guess I'll drink my troubles down with a cup of tea.
You sure Max Landis sexual accusations are worse than these cringy videos? Yeah, see, what I'm saying is that they're all connected. They're all a part of the same pattern. The same maxi pattern. Of him just not caring about what other people are doing and just wanting to be right all the time and wanting to get his way and wanting to see women as more vulnerable than they are because he likes them that way.
You're over me. You're over me. I howl at your room like a wolf to the moon, going crazy. Ring one more time. It won't bring your footsteps down to me. I guess I'll sit and wait all night with a cup of tea. But it's getting cold in here. 24 hours, dear. Are you with someone else tonight? The distance was killing me. I thought how surprised you'd be. I hope we make sweet love after we fight. Now, is anyone hearing what this song is actually about? I know you're probably noticing the patterns within it, but what this song is actually about is really interesting. So she then goes na-na-na for a while. She says, I let it be. Try to let it be. I'll be hot to your touch. You say, I think, too much. Call me baby. And it'll all be fine once you are walking up the street. Till then, I'll drink my troubles down with a cup of tea. Also, she's holding your waist. She give you a taste so easily. So, this is a song about not telling a guy you're coming to his apartment after he said that he's not in love with you, and then screaming up in his room, going insane.
Should we skip ahead? Like, he keeps repeating the same shit, and there's like an hour. There's 55 minutes left. Is this really the whole thing? What chapter are we in? Analyzing a cup of tea. Oh. Homework. Pattern breaking songs. Oh my god, it literally all is the same shit. We can't watch all this. This is so boring. This is how I felt when I read the document too. I mean, there's the transcript, there's the, you can look at like the auto-generated transcript, but he didn't do his own captions, so they're just auto-generated. But this is how I felt when I read the document too. I was so intent on reading the entire thing. I was like, I'm gonna read all of it. And then every time he would get to like the song annex sections and I would just have to skip over it because it's like he's just saying the same shit over and over. It's so boring. Oh. What do you guys think? Should we keep watching? It's just gonna be the same stuff. It's just gonna be the same stuff. Yeah, skip ahead. Skip to what though? Max gives loves advice. No, yeah, we'll watch that part for sure, because that's... Let's skip to this part.
So Trinity's making the Bret Easton Ellis versus Patrick Bateman argument.
Oh my God, Bret Easton Ellis keeps coming up.
The idea that Carly sings from the point of view of a character as a larger commentary. And what Neeson's saying is actually interesting because Drake, as an artist, has one of the most bizarre thematic run-throughs in terms of self-awareness that I've ever seen.
Let's just watch Carly music videos and say we finished the video. I wish, but I'm gonna get copyright claim for that. We can watch them on mute, I guess.
Drake was often called the sensitive rapper, the feelings rapper, the emo rapper. But when you look at his music, if you look at the actual lyrics, he's a pretty big piece of shit. And
Yeah.
I say the same thing every single time. You're the best I ever had. I say the same thing to every girl. Drake's saga of heartbreak is almost always tied back into his own desire to have sex with as many women as possible. However, he's in his feelings and constantly being upset when these girls don't do exactly what he says.
It's so fucking funny. You know what? I'm sure you could pick that out of Drake's work. And I think the reason you can recognize that might be because maybe that's a little familiar to you.
No, and behave the way he needs them to. He's heartbroken because they're not being a girl who will fuck him and not cause drama. And that's interesting because when you place that against like Kanye West's relationship to sex, i.e. you bleached your asshole and I got asshole bleach on my t-shirt, it's kind of a whole different world. Drake is someone who's worth investigating because he revisits themes, but I would say Drake is a little bit closer to another artist, one of his main contemporaries, who he was once, I think, in an Apple Music commercial with, Taylor Swift, revisiting the same larger themes in different specific ways. Trinity.
I feel like Carly, okay, you know how we were talking about how it's a little bit spooky, a little bit sinister.
A little bit creepy.
Which is very uncommon for a pop artist. I find it almost giving signs of it being like a warning about what obsession does and what's coming. And maybe it's talking about not only her, but other pop artists like Taylor Swift or rap artists like Drake who come back and they're in this cyclistic world of like, what does that do to the individuals in their life, but also what does that do to our culture? Isn't it weird? Isn't it scary that we can't seem to move forward?
I'll go an inch further on that.
Go.
Of course he'll go an inch further. He has to outdo everyone. He's got to have the last word. He can't just be like, great idea. Never thought of it like that.
You were right, but it's worth knowing I'm the only one pointing this out. Like, her songs, an Act 1 song like Psychedelic Switch, could be portrayed on its own as a euphoric love song. Surrender My Heart could be portrayed as I'm finally ready for a real relationship. I'm out here in the open, here I am. It's the wider context that makes the interesting commentary about love and obsession that you're talking about. But you're right that it does seem a majority of the songs, you know, it's not like she's new to this. There is a warning element.
I'm gonna pivot slightly into theater because what this reminds me of is theater of the absurd and like Waiting for Godot, how like they, you know, it's just showing the existential crisis of life and it does make you uncomfortable. It does repeat.
Themes of Sartre's No Exit.
Yeah.
Speaking of Godot, I have a tattoo. Sisyphus on my back. You wanna see it? But I do not approve of Godot coming up in this context. Not that she's even wrong, I don't like it. Like, leave him out of this.
Yes.
The idea of being endlessly trapped in a cycle, that's very interesting. Mr. Damien.
As a pop artist, you'd think you'd want to sell a worldview that's seductive. But her worldview is reality is isolation, reality associated with the ground being low, the earth. And love is a delusion, like a theme park ride that rises you up to the moon, to the stars, and then the bottom drops out and you fall down. It's seems really anti-pop star.
Isn't that interesting?
It is.
And that's what's one of the most interesting things about Carly, if you listen to an album like Kiss, which is really like an overproduced pop album, like Emotion and Dedicated and Loneliest Time, her later albums really like go crazy into this like wonderful synthy 80s throwback, vocally driven, too sweet to eat pop. But what's so interesting is Kiss isn't perfect. And with Kiss, more than ever, you're counterpointing dark fucking lyrics with and sad lyrics with like hey with like a montage of girls trying on clothes. It's really like dazzling, the contrast.
Yep. No one ever does that. Just her.
Neeson?
You said for a pop star you want to sell like, how did you frame it? You said usually pop stars want to sell like a life of seduction. All right, seduction. Dua Lipa, she does that, right? She sells like sadness, and like her song be upbeat, the Barbie song. Probably gonna win an Oscar tonight.
No, Billy's got it.
Dua Lipa. I feel like she, you know, one of the biggest songs, and she sells sadness and depression and darkness and just, but feelings, natural, normal feelings that people can relate to at times, right? On this big pop star level, on this big pop star level. Another thing is, you make a lot of, there's a whole channel called the ID channel that a lot of women watch, where it's about, that's their main thing. They focus on snapped, like where basically women snap and like kill their husbands because they've done something. And it's about stalking people. It's about all these things that, you know, you will label as an adult as stalking, you know, delusional, all these, you know, whatever it may be. It's a whole market out there for that, right? For adults, it's just labeled differently. And I think what we're looking at.
Well, that's the thing too, is that like, why does she write about these themes over and over again? Because they're relatable. Because people like it. Because it's pop music. And people find that shit relatable. This is the thing that sucks too, is I don't want to pick apart any of these other people who are just going along with what Max is doing and are fine, and I think their thought exercises are like whatever. But it's like, I don't know why we're pretending like this is a super unique thing.
At now is that, yeah, as a pop, you're not going to label it as pop, but you would label it pop if it's over a nice synth and a disguised uptilt, something to make.
Well, yeah, that's the trappings of the genre. You know? Like, you would label it pop if it sounds like pop. There aren't specific lyrical themes that have to go along with pop. It's one of the most, like, general genres, you know? It's like, oh, catchy melodies. Something you can sing along to. You can do anything with it. Anything. And that's why it's great.
Make you feel. You said make you feel uncomfortable. Really, with any song, it's something that makes you feel.
I'm finding this stream so challenging because every time you start the video again, I just want to smash my computer display. I feel the same way. Like, I'm committed to finishing it at this point, or like kind of finishing it. But goddamn, it's boring, and it's just the same shit over and over again. And it's also wrong.
Different, and that's what sticks with you, right?
Dude, right, how does Dua Lipa, her lyrics make you feel uncomfortable? Yeah. Like, don't come to the club if you don't want to see me dance with another guy. Exactly. Yeah. Like, what? What are you trying to say?
It's like Usher, yeah. Usher, yeah, is probably one of like the most fuckboy songs. Like, but it's like, yay, everybody's singing it and dancing and shit. It's like he's actually talking about cheating on his girl, like in this song, like right now.
I'll go a step further. Another one of those, one of the most iconic pop songs of people aren't thinking about it is, I wonder if she knows I'm hard right now. What song is that lyric from? What song begins with the lyric, I wonder if she knows I'm hard right now?
What?
Why?
Girl, you know I can't help it. You're making it hard for me. Yeah, that song is. That song is about getting a boner during slow dancing, and the girl felt it, and she says, "I feel a little bump coming through on you." And this is playing at bar mitzvahs. Yes, you have.
Jagged Edge. Jagged Edge.
You can't deny it.
That's
You're making it hard for me. Yeah, there's well, I mean.
No, I'm so excited. It's like the Pointer Sisters.
No, real
But then, of course, I mean, you can go.
Yes.
You can
What
go-
is even going on at this point? I'm lost. I'm annoyed. I'm bored.
Go even further. Josie's on a vacation far away. Come around, let's talk it over. So many things that I want to say. You know I like my girls a little bit older. I just want to use your love tonight. It's a song about cheating on your girlfriend with an underage girl, it sounds like. And that's a massive hit. The things about those songs is what they mean is so upfront. The interesting things about the other songs we're listing is that what they mean is kind of hidden by the context of the musicality of the song, which is truly like the ultimate Carly Rae Jepsen thing, is coming on a song like this and then immediately going, "You don't love me. I am in love with you. I'm gonna kill myself." Like that aspect of her music to me is the most interesting. The fact that there is a too sweet candiness.
Right, like, oh, I'm innocent. Oh, look at me. Rip your head off.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
not
in love with you
like
or else.
SZA, no, I'm a badass. I'm a gangster. Like, of course I'm crazy. It's not like Carly. It's like, oh, poor me. No, I'm just crushing.
Yeah, you know what's crazy is Umbrella. If you listen to Rihanna's Umbrella, if I'm thinking through the lyrics correctly, that's a song I could sing to Ben.
Except it's presented
And I
by
do.
Jay-Z.
And I will now. No.
Yeah, but don't forget that song is introduced. It wasn't just like, oh, Rihanna and her song. No, you literally have to, oh no, come on, Rihanna, where you at?
Yeah.
Little Miss Sunshine.
No
It
clouds in my stone.
Yeah, it starts with that. And like even when she came out and that was because she was presented at MTV like that. Like literally it's like, oh, I'm gonna show you my new star. Like this is all under me. This is me. Here's Rihanna. And then she starts singing.
Okay, do we have any closing thoughts, closing ideas?
Whether it's Carly Rae herself, whether it's a character, whatever it may be, but what she's sketched out as far as this person who's stuck in this pattern, if this person was somebody you know, your friend, what would you say to them as advice?
Do you think the discussion is real or that he wrote the questions? I think it's real. I think saying that he wrote the questions would imply that he prepared for this. And I don't think he did. I think he had a few notes that he came in with. The whole thing is mostly just a rant. He's just winging it. So yeah, I think the discussion, unfortunately, is real. Because he didn't do any work to do this.
Advice.
Well, for me personally, as someone who's like done the Hoffman process and been in therapy and had all sorts of insane experiences in relationships and love, you're asking me personally or in general?
Wait, oh my god, another ad. Guess that means we're running an ad too.
Control and domination. That's the goal of all power systems. They can be resisted, and should be.
What is this?
I think I'm gonna get more out of it if I ask you personally.
Okay, personally.
Wait, okay, let's start this
What
this
she
chapter
sketched
over.
out as far as this person who's stuck in
Max
what
gives
she
love
sketched
advice.
out as far as this person who's stuck in this pattern. If this person was somebody you know, your friend, what would you say to them as advice?
Well, for me personally, as someone who's like done the Hoffman process and been in therapy and had all sorts of insane experiences in relationships and love, you're asking me personally or in general?
I think I'm gonna get more out of it if I ask you personally.
Okay, personally, Personally, I've found that the key way to tell how much you like yourself is how much the people you like you.
To know how much you like yourself is how much the people you like you. I'm even just having trouble processing what that means. To know how much you like yourself is what did is that actually what he said?
To tell how much you like yourself is how much the people you like you.
That's... Now I feel bad for him. That's kind of sad. Oh. Yeah, did he just imply that self-likability is based on validation from others? 100%. Keep playing and see if he explains this. I mean, all right. Let's see how he explains this one.
Generally, I've found that when I fall for people or I'm investing in people, a huge component for me, due to lots of negative experiences with having a crush on someone who doesn't like me, or dating someone who's kind of doing it for the plot because I'm wacky, and then ultimately they're like, fuck this guy. Ultimately, I've found how much they express love to you relates right back onto how much you value yourself.
Okay. So I can kind of get what he's saying, I guess, of like the amount of time that you invest in a relationship should be proportional to how much that person seems to be fond of you. In a way, okay. Like, I definitely wouldn't encourage people to continue fucking with people that don't fuck with them back. So in that way I kind of get it. But I also still think that, like, to put so much of your self-worth into the way that other people feel about you is just tremendously sad. Well, all of Max's old friends hate him, so there is that. Yeah, I know. Wait, Max Landis knows what no means now. Yeah. How do you measure that? I don't know. You don't. You just go off vibes, I guess. I mean, yeah, I would say that, like, you shouldn't continue hanging out with people that are, like, mean to you, if that's the lesson. But even so, it's like, I feel like this also puts such an unreasonable burden on you, too, to always be thinking about how much other people like you. You know? Like, you can just like yourself. And especially, like, to always be thinking that way, too, and to always be thinking about how much other people like you. That it's just going to make you an inauthentic person, because you're always going to be, and that's probably why, I mean, he is a very manipulative person, That much seems to be the case from all the people who have said things about their relationships with him. He's very manipulative, and I think that manipulation probably comes from him trying to figure out what's going to make someone like him and catering his behavior to that, whether or not that's like who he is authentically. I feel like you can have low self-worth and still have a relationship with other people where the other person cares about. Yeah, that's definitely true. Sure. You can do it both ways. You can have really high self-worth and hang out with people that fucking hate you. I think it would be, personally, I think it would be a miserable experience, but you can do it. I mean, I think that's a sign of strength in some ways to say that, like, I don't care if this person doesn't like me as much as I like them. I still like them. I don't know. It's just a really reductive way to view self-worth and relationships with other people. It's like any way you cut it, it's just a little too reductive and shallow.
So if you have a crush on someone and they really like you, if you don't like yourself that much, that could scare you and like make you kind of run away. And if you have a crush on someone and they kind of don't like you, that validates the feelings you already had that maybe you were...
Wait, I'm just like, I need to...
Ultimately, I have found how much they express love to you relates right back onto how much you value yourself. So...
Well, but also to say how much they express love for you, how much someone expresses their love and how much they love you is not necessarily the same. Like, I mean, first of all, like love bombing. That's a tactic of manipulation because it's an expression without the feelings being super deep, you know? Like the expression is different from the love. And there's plenty of people who don't express their admiration for other people super easily just because that's just not what they do. They just don't verbalize it in the same way. This is what I'm saying too, with like listening to some of his interviews, especially whenever he would talk about his relationship with his dad. I was like, you are a sad person. And that's probably where a lot of his abuse of other people comes from. Is like he genuinely cannot relate to other people on like an emotional level. And it is sad. And I do feel bad for him. But that doesn't excuse anything that he's done.
If you have a crush on someone and they really like you, if you don't like yourself that much, that could scare you and like make you kind of run away. And if you have a crush on someone and they...
Okay, wait. So if you have a crush on someone and they really like you, that might scare you and make you run away. Sure. Okay. That's a common thing that people experience. I don't think it's like a rule, but that happens. And if you have a crush on someone and they
kind of don't like you, that validates the feelings you already had that maybe you...
Yeah, see... Yeah, people do experience that, but I feel like he thinks that that's a more universal experience than it necessarily is. Like, yeah, that's a totally normal thing that people do sometimes, but I also like... It is, someone earlier said he's kind of Jordan Peterson-esque, and I think that this is a very similar thing that Jordan Peterson does, and it's something that I've been thinking about a lot recently because of the next video, which is like taking a very subjective experience and needing to present it as an objective reality, needing to like say, oh, this is what we all go through. This is a part of the human experience. It's not something that just me, is dealing with. This is just something that happens to everyone. And it's like, oh, maybe a lot of people. Perhaps even most people. I'm not sure. I don't think most. I don't know. Maybe. I'm not sure. But it's like you have to build your entire worldview, your entire philosophy of how the world works around the way that you have experienced it. Because that makes you feel like you don't need to change anything about yourself. I don't know.
You weren't good enough to be with them. And that leads to idealization, because they become this other thing, this unreachable act one, you make me feel like no one else thing. But I have found that both are wrong. That if someone is available to you completely and gives you everything you could want, they're probably faking it or something's wrong with them. You're getting love bombed. If someone is not interested, but wants to be your friend to the degree that they continue to engage with you the way he continues to engage with Carly, and then of course ultimately has to cut her off, that feeling of being dumped by someone you were never with, that rejection feeling, there's a crack to that. Some people live for that. Like you were saying, like some people enjoy the pain. And I think the only way to know, the only way to break out of this kind of pattern of idealization, devaluation, is by looking at yourself and your own patterns of who you like. Because 9 times out of 10, if you look back at the people who you liked and you felt this way about, you go, wait a minute, that ended up making me feel really bad that I pursued that. Even though it feels real now, at the end of the day, I can look back at how I felt in the past and see that this is a circle. And 9 times out of 10, that breaks me right the fuck out of a big crush. And you know, I have more extreme experiences in relationships and with my exes than most people. Or maybe
yeah, because you like raped some of them. Ay, ay, ay. It's like there's like definitely a grain of truth to what he's saying. And I think that a lot of people probably would relate to it. But it still just feels like he's only still doing a very shallow reflection on himself, even to relate everything so much back to how it reflects on him. I don't know. I think where I'm like getting a little lost here, and where I'm just not really relating to what he's saying, is that he seems to have a propensity to always be looking at relationships as what someone is or isn't giving him. And he's never just looking at a relationship with someone as like, well, even just like the fact that he's always thinking about his personal feelings towards someone else in the context of his relationship to them. Which I don't know if that's necessarily good. Because he's never really seeing someone else just as themselves. And just appreciating them for what they are. It's always about how he interacts with them. The give and take of the two of them. Rather than just appreciating, this is what I like about this person that is unique to this person. that has nothing to do with how they talk to me. I don't know. Yeah, it's transactional in a way, but it's also just I feel like even transactional makes it more specific. It's just about like how he relates to them. I don't know. I don't know a way to describe it.
Not, maybe just more publicized, but
Maybe not. Maybe just more publicized. No, I guarantee you, your relationships with people are weirder than most people's relationships. Just more publicized. And everyone's raping their partners. You know, they just don't have Daily Beast articles written about them when they do it. What are you saying?
I definitely have found, Danny, that the type of relationship Carly Rae Jepsen has in her music leads only to pain and suffering. And going into something knowing that and seeing it not just as a theme in real life, but also a theme in fiction, repeated again and again, the obsessional stalker who's rejected, the nerd who loves the hot girl, the dorky girl who wants to be with the cool, handsome, you know, fantasy hero, all these things circle back into themselves as, well, I wouldn't want someone like me. I want someone who will make me a better, bigger version of who I am. And that is not a healthy place to come at love from, in my experience. Not to say it's ever worked out great for me, that is okay, final thoughts. I think we're, oh yeah, one more
Sorry, last thing. I was looking at the moon, the door, and the window. And I think it's interesting that it kind of matches with the acts of like the moon is the fantasy and the dreaming, the door of the escape, and the window of the longing and wishing.
Wow. Oh la la. Beautiful, brilliant. We can talk in abstracts all day about why these themes appear in this artist's music. We can talk in abstracts. The thing about the fucking pattern is it's not abstract. Moon, window, door, light, dream. These are not coincidences. This is not an artist who doesn't know what they're doing. Perhaps they don't know why they're doing it. Maybe it's a relationship she experienced that inspired Dear You, that inspired her first songs, and she found a winning formula. Maybe these are just the things that inspire her, right? But the fact that she has done this for 18 years is an auteur level, unprecedented achievement. And I'm so glad you could all recognize that with me. And also I want to say, how fucking weird is she saying moon, window, door? She's saying again and again and again. Why does she keep saying that on all these songs? And fucking is she always getting dumped? Why is it like this? Thank you all for coming to class.
He's so
Please
quirky.
bring your assignments into the front of the class. And please, if you have time, join us for a drink.
Oh my goodness. Well, we did it. Kinda.
We've got passion.
I don't know what to say about any of that. Oh, we got another ad. Sorry, guys.
We've got determination. Like, and if we set our sights.
Oh
on
my god, it's an
something,
ad
you
for
better believe it's
Wix.
happening.
Wow. All right. Well, I guess that was it. We could watch the follow-up 2 hours that he did. Agonizingly definitive proof of the Carly Rae Jepsen pattern. Okay. What could be in that video that isn't already in this other 2-hour video? Like, and what is it? Black Widow doesn't get to be hot? What is he talking about? Like, there's no, what else could you have to say? Next stream, I don't know. I don't think I could watch all this.
Water. Just like, give me that water. Small.
Like, is he literally just going through every single song?
Roll and 2 Celsius.
Jesus Christ. 4 full Carly Rae Jepsen albums analyzed by song, back to back to finally put the last nail in the coffin to prove it. Oh my god. All right. Well, I guess that was it. I really hoped it'd be... I mean, I should have known. I read the document. I knew what his vibe was. I knew how shallow and repetitive his analysis was. I just was hoping that there would be more to it than that. I don't know what I thought. I don't know what I was hoping. But yeah, I guess that's it. Thanks for watching with me. That was... I was gonna say interesting, but it really wasn't. It's pretty boring, actually. But that's okay. It's weird that all these years later, his feelings on this matter haven't evolved. Yeah, I mean, he decided that he was right a long time ago, and he will not move on from that. And I guess I'm not surprised, but I am disappointed. It was fun to watch you get aggravated. Well, I'm glad. You have any more fringe celebrity enemies? I don't think so. Not that I can think of. I don't feel the exact same way about anything as I did that many years ago. Yeah, I mean, that's even the problem that I have with, like, with some of my older videos now getting more views, like the Max Landis video getting more views. I mean, I stand by pretty much everything I said in the video, but I think I would say it differently. But I don't know, I haven't really watched the video. But yeah, it's like, it is just sort of interesting that he's so committed to not evolving as a person and a writer. And that's also the thing that I would say too about his writing. To be completely fair to him, I don't think he's a terrible writer in terms of, like, natural talent. I think that he maybe at some point in his adolescence would have been considered, like, an above average writer, you know? Because a lot of people are really bad writers. Like most people. It's not a skill that most people have. So in that way, I think that he probably started off his life with above average skills, above average talent, and then he never felt a need to develop those skills any further. And he's been the same ever since. I mean, even the fact that this video is so produced, you know, it is a very professional production, other than, you know, the boom mic being in the shot. It has great cameras, fine sound, it has a whole set. He clearly rented something out, or maybe just knew someone who had a classroom available. There's a lot of effort put into the production, and yet it's very clear that he really didn't, like, write anything. because he doesn't really think that he has to. Chronicle was good. Dirk Gently was okay. Everything else he did sucks. Yeah, I never saw Chronicle, and maybe it was good. I mean, this is the problem too, and this is something when, I mean, I became aware of him with the Red Letter Media videos that he was on. And the first thing that the reason that he even went on to their videos is because they were criticizing some tweets he made about American Ultra because it wasn't doing well or whatever. He like wrote a bunch of shit on Twitter. And then he came on to their channel and did some videos with them, and he made the argument that like you can't judge a screenwriter's talent or like the quality of the screenplay based on what is in the film, because there's so much that changes between the writing of the script and the actual filming of the movie. And I do agree with that to a degree. I think that like when so many of your movies end up being shit and you're the screenwriter on them, most likely they're not all getting fucked up in production, you know? Probably the scripts weren't that good. But the thing is, like, yeah, okay, you can defend your bad scripts in that way, or the bad movies that are made from your script, which maybe were better. Maybe you can say that the original vision outmatched the final product. But you can also say that about the movies you made that are good, you know? I mean, like, who's to say Chronicle was good because it had a good script? It could have been good because of changes that were made between the script and the production. So even the stuff he's made that's good, it's like films and TV shows and everything, those are collaborative efforts. There's a lot of people involved in that. So the stuff he makes that comes out well could very well be the product of people who took the things that he wrote that were good, expanded upon them, and then dropped all the bullshit. And that might even be his real problem, is like he just needs a fucking editor. Yeah, the buck has to stop somewhere at a certain point if your script is the common denominator. Yeah, I mean, I think there are the thing that just is funny about Max is, like, I think there are very, very few screenwriters who could have gotten away with writing so many screenplays that turned into bad movies in the first place and continuously get new jobs. And that is where, like, the nepo baby allegations come in. It's like, how do you keep getting jobs when people just consistently do not like the end product of your work? Josh Trank apparently banned him from the set of Chronicle. Yeah, well, that was probably a good idea. Not even to say anything about what he would have done in terms of affecting the quality of the movie, but, like, Max Landis probably just should be banned from sets and just places with women in them. But we did it. We watched it for the most part. I guess that's it. I'll probably do another stream next Tuesday, which will be Christmas Eve. So if you guys have any ideas for what you want, what are your opinions of John Landis's work? Some of it's pretty good. I mean, he's a terrible person, but, like, the Blues Brothers movie is pretty good. Animal House is rapey as fuck, but It has good parts in it. The Thriller music video obviously is iconic. He's fine. But he's a piece of shit. So yeah, I'll come back probably next week if you have any ideas for what you want to see. And then I might do one more in December. I'm not sure. But I don't know. Here's the thing. I have Tuesdays pretty much free. So currently, I'm using that to stream the evenings. Eventually, I am going to finish the script that I'm working on for the next video essay. I keep thinking that I'm gonna finish it like very soon. And then I just like add more. Like it just, that video keeps morphing into other things. So I think I'll be finished with the script soon. But who's to say? But eventually, once I do finish with the script, I'm gonna have to start recording it. And the recording process is gonna take multiple days. So my days off at some point are going to be consumed with the recording process of that. So for sure a couple more streams. And then once I stop streaming, I'm probably recording the next video. And then maybe once I just am doing the editing, maybe then I'll come back and do more streams after that. But I don't know. We'll just have to see. But the streams have been a nice little kind of distraction because the thing is that the new video is just, it's so long and it's so expansive. And ambitious, I guess, is a word you could use for it. And that is a positive connotation, so maybe that's a nice way to describe it. Could be overly ambitious, possibly. But because of that, I have to keep, like, taking breaks from it because I'm just losing all perspective on it. I don't know. I keep, like, I'll do, like, I'll read it and I'm like, this makes sense to me. I can't tell anymore if it's going to make sense to other people or if other people are going to be on board with it. I think the first half, for sure, because I think the first half is somewhat straightforward. But the second half gets a little weirder. And I just don't know. So I'm happy to come onto these streams because I do think it's good for me to, like, think about something else for a little bit so that I'm not just, like, so that I gain some amount of perspective when I look at it again. So if anyone has any ideas, I live to serve. Until then, fuck Max Landis. And I guess I'll see you next week.